It is going. I didn't even think of an intro. I probably should have thought that through first.
Always cut this out.
Yeah, always cut the beginning part out. Hey guys, I'm here with TheChrisLotus. No, that's not your YouTube name. That's your Discord name. Oh, it is?
It is.
Okay. Hey guys, I'm here with TheChrisLotus, one of my friends, another content creator on YouTube. Makes a lot of great videos revolving around SNK and King of Fighters and all other major fighting games. We're going to be discussing some of the controversy and some of the ire that has come out following the full release of Multiversus and some of the comparisons that this game has gotten in relation to other fighting games and the fact that it feels underbaked to some people. So yeah, Chris is here with me.
What's up? Thank you for having me.
Yeah, of course, mate. So yeah, as far as, I don't know if you guys have seen this, but we've seen it going back and forth. Multiversus is finally released. It's been under a week since the full release of the game. Of course, with the history of the game, it was out for quite some time back in 2022. It was in summer of 2022. It officially got its official beta release. But it had a lot of the features that the full game had. You carried over all your progress. You could pay for skins and cosmetics and all sorts of different things. And all of that was available once the game fully released. No one expected the beta to go offline officially for some time. But it did while the team behind Multiversus got ready for the official full release of the game. But what we've seen so far is some of the ire come out about the fact that in 2022, at the official Game Awards ceremony, Multiversus won Fighting Game of the Year over its competitors, DNF Duel, King of Fighters 15, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, what was it? JoJo's Bizarre Adventure All-Star Battle? Yeah. Yeah.
I like the pirate thing there, but it's like All-Star Battle R.
Yeah, and Seifer was the other one.
Why was that thing?
I still don't know why Seifer got a nomination, but
It like, because I made a video where I was going over that, and it's just like, I don't care how you've been, because I know like on the page they had it like, you know, games that are centered primarily around hand-to-hand combat, and it's like, the shoehorn. That was a shoehorn right there.
yeah, it felt like they ran out of options. And they were like, we gotta find something that fits the definition. Which, I mean, I would have rather seen whatever WWE game got released that year be put in there as a fighting game.
Don't get me started, but freaking, come on. Like, I know it's more of like a brawler and it's a battle royale, but like, if we're going there, I'm just saying, my favorite game from that year, my number one favorite game from that year, Rumbleverse should have been there then. And it's like, I wouldn't have cared like if it would have won or not, which we're gonna get to that right there because
Right.
they're gonna be delving more into my attitude when it comes to award shows and all that. But yeah, that was, and the messed up part is I haven't played Sifu, but I've watched several friends play it. And it's actually a pretty cool game. It's just like, why here though? Like,
Yeah, it's a great game.
I know it's very anime or whatnot, but I'm pretty sure Phantom Breaker, like Omnia, had like something out that year. It's like, why didn't they put that there?
Yeah,
Unless maybe
weird.
unless like the freaking very first trailer, I guess, turned them off or something. Because like, if you watch the trailer for like the re-release of Phantom Breaker, which was Phantom Breaker, one of my friends sent me that, and it was like, just check out this trailer, like just the commentary on it, it's so over the top. And I mean, I kind of get it, because if I didn't know better, I would have thought that that was like a parody or something, because this freaking like, he was going crazy. Like, as a matter of fact, when I heard it, he reminded me of the radio host who did the freaking John Cena prank phone call thing. Like, you know, go watch that freaking Phantom Breaker up. He sounds almost like that guy.
Right. Yeah, nah. The games with terrible announcers. Nick All Star Brawl. I don't know if you saw like the the original game's release. They had, oh man, they had the worst. I felt like they just got an intern in the office to record all of their trailers because it was just some guy, and
Yeah,
he always sounded bored and like he wasn't sure about anything.
he was like, especially like with the little tutorials for the characters. He
Yeah.
was he was like trying his best to sell that, right? He was trying his best. It's
Yeah,
just
like,
like the thing about it is like I would have been more into like that because I'm more like I'm more of a Nickelodeon like fan when it came to like cartoons and all that. I was looking
mhm.
forward to that, but then like that game just fell on its ass
Oh, that game was
hard,
horrible.
which is so crazy because I think they learned their lesson when it came to Nick All Star Brawl 2. I think they learned their lessons, but
It was kind of
I
too
don't
little,
know.
too late,
I was just about
because
to say that. I was just about to say that because I'm like, I don't know if you would think it, but like, I don't think, especially in this day and age, for some reasons viable and for some reasons not. Not a lot of forgiving consumers,
well,
especially everybody's
I
money being
think
like everybody's money being so tight and everything, and it's like, oh, you freaking sold me this garbage back then, and like, nah, I'm done with you.
yeah, I think that's the main issue. They asked for more money. If they had just fixed the game and added everything that they added into the sequel into the original as free updates, I think that would have been a lot more palatable for people, as opposed to them releasing a sequel and then saying, "Okay, give me more money," and it's just like, "Well, what do you mean, give you more money? I don't care how much you did. Your first game was shit." Like so I think that's where, because like you have games like No Man's Sky, who have completely flipped people on their opinions on it with a horrendous release, but now people love it because every single major update was free. They just gave it out because they're like, look, I'm sorry we did a bad thing. Here's everything for free.
Mm,
So if you, that's what Nick All Star Brawl needed to do, but they just released the sequel and they're like, oh, why aren't you buying it? And they're like, well, I already bought the first one and I didn't like that one, so you're not gonna get me twice.
yeah, like you're not like it's that particular hardcore like audience and everything. Like you're not always gonna have like that particular type of fan in smorgasbords where it's like, hey, we understand somebody who's so much of a fan of it where it's like, I'll be patient, I'll give him another chance.
Right.
You're not always gonna have that type of fan in droves. Like,
Hmm.
and I mean, it's unfortunate because I mean, hey, most of the time, like there's gonna possibly be some issues when the game comes out or whatnot.
Right.
And I mean, of course, we're in a day and age where at least we can get like a patch update that fixes stuff and all that. I mean, especially better than back in the day, like especially with kind of fighting games because that's where we got the freaking three different versions of freaking Street Fighter 3.
Right.
But it's like at the same time in this day and age, like you're gonna have that fan there. It's just that I don't think that that particular type of fan is gonna be like the majority of your base or whatnot. Like
Right.
I don't know, it's kind of tricky. It's kind of tricky in a ways because you want to try your best to like keep people's attention, but it's like you don't want to take too long when it comes to fixing stuff. You stop because we're gonna get to that too, or at least I am. Like I don't know, but
Yeah.
since you mentioned like Nick All Star, like did somebody else acquire it or something? Because it's like
You know what? I
I know like
couldn't
in the
even tell
beginning,
you.
because I know like in the beginning, like with the first game, it was a small studio, which is why a lot of stuff like voice acting was missing and all that.
Hmm.
So then I guess like this time around when two came, I didn't know if like maybe the first one made enough money to where they could do all the stuff in one full go, or maybe they got extra funding. And I was just wondering about that because I know that was one thing everybody kept bringing up was the fact that this was like a smaller studio handling Nick All Star Brawl,
Yeah,
which I
and
think that was nominated the year before because Strive won that year,
yeah, it was
2021.
nominated for either year before. I threatened to delete my channel if it won that year. Uh,
Oh, I was trying to think was I watching like the watch along on your channel that time. I'm trying to think because I just remember last year's more than anything.
yeah, no,
I remember,
last year's
I remember
wasn't.
last I I remember last year's watch along more than anything, then, because it's like, so it obviously, like, you know, like I said, I love it, like your watch alongs in it, because like you're so hilarious when it comes like a lot of this stuff.
I
Because
appreciate
originally
that.
I didn't care that much about freaking award shows until somebody had told me since I was making content, hey, you know, there could be reveals there or whatnot.
Right.
But of course, with this particular period, this was when I just came back from the hospital and everything. And it's like, I say that because it's not, I wasn't bored with like what you were doing, but I was kind of nodding off. And I'll never forget what woke me up. And it was that freaking best ongoing game.
Oh.
And I swear, like, I didn't even know what it won. I had to go back and rewind and saw what it had you so ticked off. That
Oh man.
Oh,
No, yeah, I don't. It was it did psychic damage. Like it attacked me directly. I had no more monsters on the field. It attacked my health points directly. Seeing them win best ongoing game.
Because then I woke up and I was confused, and I looked at the TV and like, what was it? What was the word game you were playing?
It was Cyberpunk 2077.
No, the word game. Like you
oh yeah, I was playing. Yeah, I was fucking playing. No, was it Wordle?
No, it was something in the vein of Wordle.
Shit, no, it wasn't Wordle. Connections. I think it was Connections. Yeah, because that shit pissed me off so much. Oh, man, I'm still mad about that.
I thought somebody was yelling at me.
Yeah, my goodness. But yeah.
I think I had taken sleep medicine. That's why I was kind of nodding off. But like, I needed that though.
Yeah. Ooh, yeah, that game's rough.
But yeah, I guess since I keep talking about the award show, see, here's my thing.
Mm-hmm.
Here's one thing, man. I get that people want their favorites to win.
Right.
I totally get it. That's what it is. Like, you know, you go cheer for your favorites and everything. But I'm never like this tilted, or I just think like there's a straight highway. Like, I mean, I just don't care all that much. Like, if my favorites lose or whatnot. You know
right. Yeah.
And like that's because, I mean, we mentioned all these games. Like, you know, we mentioned Multiversus, DNF Duel, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, All-Star Battle. I'm not that deep into JoJo, so I'm not sure if there are any pirate characters in it. Stop that. Then KOF15, I ain't talking about seafood. It's like,
yeah, no, seafood doesn't
maybe it's just because of like the particular sphere that I'm in or whatnot, but it's like there's so much vitriol from the KOF fans. So much vitriol.
Yeah.
Like, I get, because I just told Vault, like, you know, if we're recorded, I just now started back on X, Twitter, whatever the heck Elon Putz wants to call it. I like what one of my favorite content creators calls it. He calls it X gon' give it to you. I just think it's hard for me to make that a thing.
Right.
But ever since I started back on there, it's like especially like in the midst of, you know, the moment that they had basically put out like a mini trailer.
Mm-hmm.
Multiversus was gonna come back out. You got that one freaking person. This is the game that beat KOF15 in 2022.
Right.
The freaking like main trailer comes out. Like every single time, like somebody put out like some information like about that mess, and they come. This is what beat KOF15. Oh my god! And for the record, and you could look on like a video. You could look on my video. I say it right there.
Mm-hmm.
I voted for KOF15 out of these 5 games. Because really, out of all the 5 games that were in Best Fighting Game that year, that was the one that I enjoyed the most. There was no Rumbleverse, so I was going to go with KOF15. Because that's the only game that really would have, like, I would have voted something like that's the only game that I would vote for over freaking KOF15 is Rumbleverse.
Right.
There's no Rumbleverse. Nowhere. Anywhere. Nowhere. Also, just a healthy reminder, Sifu was also in the action category as well. Just saying.
Oh yeah, Sifu did get nominated for 2 separate categories.
I'm just saying. But it's like, I even said in the video, I'm like, I'm pretty sure Multiversus was going to win. That game was like rolling out the red carpet for casuals. And for me, that is the one thing because like you can correct me if I'm wrong here, Vault. Because like I'm not saying like you're a super fan of like the award shows, but I'm like I'm pretty sure you're more in tune with them than I am.
Hmm.
The demographic that this leans towards, or at least I don't want to say pander, but let me just say leans towards. It's more of a casual audience, right?
Oh yeah, for sure. It's something more of a casual gaming audience, and I think KOF does skew more to a more
That is
hardcore
the
gaming
thing.
audience.
That is the thing right there. KOF 15 failed to draw the casuals. I still love the game to this day, then, but at the same time, that doesn't mean that I'm not afraid to critique it. Then
Right. And you
I've
know
had
what?
people get mad at me about several videos that I've made about several things concerning that game. Like
Yeah.
I've criticized that game just as much as I praised it. I literally did a video where I was defending it against Inverse, who did this really trash freaking review of it, and not because of the score, but because this person wrote the article like, "Are you? Is this like your very first one? Like, it's not a problem at your very first KOF, but this person was talking like they've been into the series all this much. It's like what? Like
Right.
the only good point that Inverse made, the only good point that they made, which would have probably helped KOF 15 draw more casuals. Inverse criticized the game for not having more modes. That right there would have helped it. That would
Yeah.
have helped it. Because at the time, obviously because it didn't come with it, there was no. It's not officially a boss rush mode, but like it's the mode where you can fight the bosses, Ugal and Guinness. It's like that was pretty much, which I like that because okay, you do a little something. There's a little something extra for people to do offline and everything, but like aside from that, there's really nothing else. Like
Right.
honestly, of the 5 nominees that I look, 4. Let me say 4. No seafood. I'm sorry. Seafood's good. Seafood's good. I'm sorry. I'm half joking, but it's like that mess did not belong.
No, it didn't.
Like, are we really gonna start? Are we gonna rename the category Best Versus Fighting?
I mean, it's just best game where people fight occasionally, and then you could just nominate anything.
Because even in the video, like before the Game Awards, I went over that really silly argument they made where they were talking about, oh, in that case, Call of Duty is a fighting game. And they would do that because people would use the dictionary definition of fighting rather than the context that we know it to be.
Right. Yeah.
When we talk about fighting games, we're talking about the Street Fighters, the Tekkens, the
Yeah.
Combats. We know almost every freaking game that's action adventure, role playing, and a couple of sports games. They got fighting in it, okay?
Yeah.
Which is very funny because I think I almost called them live action, but you know what I mean. The games like not Ready to Rumble. That would actually probably, but like the boxing games or the MMA games is like those aren't even really considered fighting games to certain people. They're called sports games.
Yeah. Those aren't considered fighting games.
But the point I want to make before I trail off too much, of all the games that were nominated, when it came to single player content, honestly, I think JoJo's Bizarre Adventure had more than any other. Because I know with this All-Star Battle R re-release, which it was a re-release, the game already had a nice chunk of offline single player content. Games like those tend to do that. JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, anything that's kind of like outside the realm of like your typical traditional fighters or whatnot, they'll add some extra stuff, especially the anime games. But I know with this particular re-release, they added more stuff to it. They added I think it was like a tag mode or something. Like I mentioned in the same video, they added more single player content. DNF Duel had a decent bit of it there. DNF Duel single player content would be good for someone like me that doesn't know jack about that universe.
Right.
So, but I mean, Multiversus and KOF 15 didn't really have any of that.
No, not at all. Multiversus was very sparse in terms of additional content. All they had was a training mode, 1v1, 2v2, free for all. And that was it. Yeah. They didn't have like arcade or anything.
And with King of Fighters 15, like, at the time, I'm trying to think. I don't know if the boss mode was there or not, but like even with that, looking at the base game, the one thing that you really had aside from like stuff like the DJ station where it's like your unlocks would be the gallery and all that, all you really had was the arcade/story mode.
Right.
Which, call me a prude or a pedant, I think that those two modes should really be separate. Story mode should tell games story. Straight up. Arcade is just like going to the arcade, pop in your quarters, even though in this case you got infinite quarters because you can retry as much as you want to. Play till the end, maybe you unlock something.
Right.
So, I say this because so here's basically what you can do as far as like that mode or whatnot. When you first start with KOF15, you could literally play with any trio you want to, and at the end, it'll unlock a OST for the DJ station, which is pretty cool.
Okay.
As you go on though, and you want to unlock other like OSTs for like the jukebox, what it basically is, you have to play specific team. Now in the game, it'll tell you 2 characters, but then they'll leave the last one a mystery. Obviously, you can go online and look up who it is that you need to play to unlock this OST by clearing the arcade/story mode. That right there got tedious. Fast. I give them credit for the fact that they mix it up by saying you have to play different characters, but like that mess got tedious super fast. Like I did it in 2 sit-ins. Like I completed 3 runs at first and I got bored.
Right.
And then like one day I was able to do like maybe over 6 or 7 runs because I was kind of just going through the motions. Like I was just going through each and every single mode while my friend was talking to me about something interesting. Literally him talking to me about something interesting made me do enough runs to where finally I completed at the time all the OSTs that you could get.
Okay. So you're just basically unlocking music every time you ran through it. Okay.
Yeah, and other stuff too, because like of course you got this, and not to mention if you play with like a special like, because you have in KOF what you call special teams or special edit teams.
Okay.
Where if you basically beat the game with them, after the credits roll, there's like a little post credits still there or a scene, and it'll be like something lighthearted, maybe something kind of funny and stuff like that. Because you can like have special edit teams based on a lot of stuff, like people that freaking like. Especially back in the day, it could be something like really silly.
Okay.
But, like those will unlock stuff in the gallery, but like it's those I give them credit for like having you unlock stuff in game by just playing the game, but like that got tedious very fast, like very fast. Another reason why you would probably play, or I guess to put it like this, another avenue of replayability for that mode is if you want to know about the story, like the actual story of the game, you will play the primary 4 teams, the central 4 teams, if you will. That's the hero team, the rival team, the sacred treasures, and Team Ash. You could play those 4 teams, like you could do like different runs with those teams, and you'll actually get more scenes as you go along that will tell you more about the actual story.
Okay.
I feel like that should have been separate though, or everybody basically has a story. You go onto the website, and everybody has a story and a means of how they got together, as far as teams, and what they won at the tournament, blah, 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 blah. It's almost kind of like wrestling in a way. You have like the storyline for the title, the big title and everything, but then you got mid-card feuds, you have lower card feuds. That's basically kind of what KOF is, and I kind of wish they would have done that. Because again, it's just this mode, like it's just everything was focused on that particular mode. Now, let me give you an example of what I wish they would have done.
Okay.
And people love this game. And I do too. I just don't like the meat writing of it so much. No, seriously, people act like this game was literally the end-all, be-all of KOF.
Okay.
KOF13. KOF13 did something very unique when it came to its story mode. Or like the arcade mode, arcade/story mode or whatever. I'm trying to think. Did you ever play Shadow the Hedgehog?
No. I think the only Sonic game I've ever played was Sonic Heroes.
Okay, so let me use a different one. Basically, you would go through it. Like you would do like in most cases, the player would do like a regular old arcade run with whatever characters they like. You do that, you get to the end, blah, 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 blah. But when you go back and you look at it, there's like a diagram with all these little blank like panels. The gist of the game is you want to reach a certain point with a certain team to expose or at least reveal more of the story. See, that right there, I like, is some actual good and interesting replayability. Because there's some exploration there at least. I gave the Shadow the Hedgehog example because like they play with this whole alignment thing where it's like, depending on what mission you complete, it'll send you to this stage and you do this, and you can either keep being evil, keep being neutral, keep being good, blah, 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 blah.
Okay.
but I just wish they would have done something more like that. They should have just had like more of an immersive story mode. Like a lot of people will tell you, man, when it comes to fighting games, like SNK fighting games are so special. Like there's some one thing they have over all the other fighting games is, man, the story is so good. The story is so good, which I agree. But it's like, put it in a game. There were so many good stories that they put for KOF15 on the website. That mess would have looked so good in the game.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But like, it's not there. Because I'm another content creator who's big in SNK. He goes by Raito ADV. Shout outs to him. He put up a meme that was like, it was like Homer Simpson, and I guess Homer was trying to build a grill or whatnot. And the first panel has him looking at like, you know, the directions, where it's like he's looking at the grill completed, like it's all finished and everything, and it looks good. Then he closes it and looks at what he's done, and it's a freaking mess. And he's like, why doesn't mine look like this? And in the first panel, like where he's looking at like the schematic or whatever, it had the Street Fighter 6 and then when he looks at like, why isn't mine like that? It's just KOF15 with a limited amount of story and all that.
Right.
And I actually reposted that on my community tab, and I'm like, I agree. And you got somebody talking about, well, you know, KOF15 has a whole bunch of character information and the stories and everything on a website. On a website.
Yeah, you shouldn't have to go supplementing it.
I mean, that's cool. Like, it's cool to do that, but it's like, why not put it in the game? Like, everybody is not going to be these hardcore nerds like myself and others that love to, you know, research this stuff for content and for just interesting stuff and all that and everything.
Right.
Everybody's not going to do that. Like, there are so many scenes from like so many of these stories where it's like, if they would have put that in the game, that is how you grip the casuals.
Right.
Because, I mean, you're already kind of intimidating them by the fact that they feel pressure to learn 3 characters. Because I know that was a big thing. Like, oh, I can't learn 3 characters. Like, I got to learn 3. And there was, like, you know, a single character mode in there, but I don't think it was pushed as much, which I think also would have helped.
Now, do you think that was the major catalyst for a loss against Multiversus? Because
there's several things.
Yeah, because it sounds like an amalgamation of that, it not appealing to the casual audience, could really affected it.
A lot of people will autopilot, rightfully so, but I kind of wish they wouldn't just leave it at that. Which I'm glad I didn't in this case. A lot of people will autopilot to the matchmaking issues.
That's what I saw a lot of people saying that matchmaking was still broken.
Oh yeah, it was, and it pissed me off how people were either willfully or like it seemed almost like indirectly defending the fact that it was broken. And the thing is, I had witnessed something like this with a different game. Like, it was a different game, similar situation. Like, I know this is probably gonna be a stretch, but I'm gonna roll with it. But Paladins was loaded with some bugs that were annoying as hell. To the point where sometimes, and I think primarily console players suffered more from it than, you have bugs where the game would crash. Like, literally crash. Middle of the match, crash. Middle of the freaking match. And so people would make videos upon videos and make forum posts upon forum posts and tagging Evil Mojo and stuff and all this and everything. Hey, this bug here is causing this is causing this bug, this glitch. And sometimes Evil Mojo would fix the stuff, but it's like, it would be like sometimes like very minimal. But they're like, hey, we got this content for y'all. New skins, new characters. Hey, you want, like I've seen this before, and like people kept dropping off because of that.
Right.
So it's like you got broken matchmaking for this game, which, by the way, one of the main draws for KOF15 was the fact that they embraced rollback netcode. That was one of the biggest things, because KOF14 didn't have rollback. KOF14 didn't have rollback. The previous game they did, Samurai Showdown, at the time, did not have rollback. But they came out the gate with it in KOF15. They even caught, with the second beta, if I'm not mistaken, or the first one, which I think I saw this on JM Cross. He found it because it didn't happen to me, far as I know.
Mhm.
One of the betas had a one-sided rollback issue where the rollback was only going one way. They caught that, from what I'm understanding, because I didn't hear any more complaints about that. But lo and behold, the matchmaking happened, and they left matchmaking broken. Not even almost. It was over a year. Over a year, but you're like, hey, we got characters for you and everything, and people are like, well, we already paid for the characters, we should get them. It's like Guilty Gear Strive, when they weren't ready for something, they pushed the game back.
Mhm.
There is no like, and I say this because people are gonna get pissed off where it's like, I'm throwing money at this game, and it's like everybody doesn't get joy out of just playing the freaking arcade all the time, especially with a game where it's like the net play is really good. So you got somebody dropping money for DLC characters and stuff like that, or whatever it might be, and the matchmaking's broken.
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck?
Yeah. Well, it seems like misplaced priorities then.
Yeah, because it's like,
Like, why would I pay for this character? I can't even play the game.
I mean, like I said, the only people that would be for are just people like my friend Onyx, who, shout outs to Onyx as well. I can get that. Like, some people, somehow, like I said, I just grown up past it. They can play arcade mode over and over and over and over again and have a good time.
Right.
After like everything I described with like the primary reasons why you would play arcade mode, after that was done, I'm like, that mess just like bored me. It's like, give me somebody who could whoop my ass. It's like, geez, man. But it's like I said, it was that they didn't KOF15 and grip casuals like it really should have.
And then, now that you mention that, I think that's the main crutch. Because just thinking about all the steps that Multiversus took to gain the casual audience's trust and adoration, even prior to the release of the game, I think that was really the main draw. Because Multiversus got every single, except for I think one or two characters, but every single historic best voice actor for their characters, and they were posting a bunch of like splash screens of Matthew Lillard is back to voice Shaggy, and Tara Strong is back to voice Harley Quinn, and Kevin Conroy is back to voice the Batman. All of that was definitely a huge draw for the casuals who were just like, I know that person, I know that face, I know that from this. And they didn't even have to do much, because even with KOF's flaws, it was still a more replete game in terms of content. Like, it had an arcade mode. Like I said, Multiversus only had 1v1, 2v2, free for all. That's it. But they knew, hey, let's bring back all these fan favorites. And that was a huge, huge draw for a lot of people before the game even released.
You remind me of like one of the dumbest things. See, I love my SNK fans. I love them, but at the same time, a good chunk of them just live in just an obnoxious, ridiculous bubble at times. Because you reminded me one person, and they could have been joking about it or whatever, but even with that, I wouldn't joke like that, because at least in my opinion, it's a dumb joke. Because they're talking about, oh, well, King of Fighters 15 has Shermie in it, so it's automatically better than Multiversus. It's like, only people like myself and like anybody with at least, I guess, fighting game knowledge that dives into the waters of the theoretical iceberg, if you will, only we would know who you're talking about. Like, you telling me that Shermie is more popular than freaking the only character on Multiversus roster at the time that far as like the general public at least, the only character that would be Shermie would be more popular than is probably the Rain Dog, because Rain Dog was made for the game.
Right. Yeah, because I don't know what the fuck a Shermie is.
That was the redhead curvy one that does all the suplexes and everything, and like people went crazy over her because Thicky Mickey, she's doing suplexes and everything, and it's a really good looking character and all that. And I like her too. I like her too because, at least for me, aside from just a really cool design, I like it when wrestling characters are in fighting games and it's not always a big old freaking 500 freaking pound freaking muscular guy or a big old fat dude. Like, you know,
Yes.
wrestling has, you know, smaller, agile guys and gals. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
But like, it's just, I don't care how steep you are into like the SNK or whatever. Then the general public does not know who Shermie is. You telling me she's more popular than Bugs Bunny, Batman?
Yeah.
Come on, come on now. Come on now. Like, I understand, like, you know, everybody loves Shermie and everything, and everybody's thirsty for Shermie and all that, but just saying, come on, for the general public, because that's what you said. These award shows, like, it's more slanted towards the casual audience.
Hmm.
We're not having a freaking fighting game FGC award or something like that. Like, this is not what this is.
Yeah.
Maybe on that front, maybe. You know what I'm saying? But on
Yeah.
top of that, just the fact that we're talking about this, because I saw a friend of mine on Twitter that was actually talking about this because he was responding to a take from another SNK content creator. But I'm not going to go too much in detail with it, but here's the thing. Because this person was asking, why are these couple of SNK fighting games, why are they the only ones that are known to normies? And my friend countered back by saying, if you know about stuff like SNK fighting games, whether it's KOF or Garo or Samurai Showdown or The Last Blade or Savage Rain,
Hmm.
it's like, if you know about those, you're not a normie.
Yeah. No, you're not a normie. SNK
Like, I'm
isn't
pretty sure,
normie
like,
franchises.
I'm pretty sure out of all those games that I just listed there, you probably know like how many of. I mentioned KOF, I mentioned Samsha, like, you know, I don't think. Have you heard of Savage Rain?
No, no, yeah. After that, I was lost. I know KOF and I know Sim Show.
Yeah, see. So it's like that's another thing. Like, and this was a matter of like the playing field, if you ask me. But that's another thing. Like when you're coming in as a KOF15 and you are competing in what's basically something of a popularity contest
Hmm.
amongst casuals and apparently big publications. I even heard somebody said that also plays a factor in the like who wins as well, because I know somebody trolled, what's his name, Jeff or whatever, the guy that does Game Awards, Jeff.
Jeff Keighley.
Yes, I saw he got trolled by somebody because they posted a fake quote by him.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he was teasing that Multiversus would beat Tekken 8 this year.
Right, right, right. Yeah.
Which I'm like, can it even get nominated again? Like, are they gonna count this as like a re-release?
Holy, yeah. Now that you mention it, can it be nominated twice? Now, I doubt for fighting game of the year, but maybe for ongoing game.
At least
At least it will actually be an ongoing game this time.
you won't be upset about that. Oh, y'all don't like understand how much like I was on vacation like last weekend, and I was with that creepy reading. Shout out to the homie. I was literally telling them like are the roomies about like I was literally telling them about you and like literally your reaction to the whole cyberpunk.
Right.
I'm telling you that man's like knocks me out every time.
I wanted to end stream, honestly. I was so furious. I was like, I'm about to turn this whole thing off and just go do something else. Yeah, no, that pissed me off so much.
So I guess you won't flip out like in Multiversus win like best ongoing game.
No, if it wins, because it's actually an ongoing game. I didn't care who won that category. I just knew Cyberpunk shouldn't have been in that category. Like, it was just the most flippant way of saying we want to give them an award, but we don't have any other categories available for them. So let's find a reason.
Right.
Because it kind of broke best ongoing game category. Because now anything that releases a DLC can now be put in that category. So I'm sure we'll see Elden Ring here this year.
Getting back into semantics again.
Yep.
Oh, y'all say this is a fighting game. This is a fight game. It's got fighting in it. It's got fighting in it.
Yeah.
But the funny thing about it is, like, it goes back to something that I was alluding to earlier. Like I said, these days, like, really, the only award show I'd probably watch is like the gaming awards, but that's because of reveals.
Yeah.
You know, seeing the fact that I make content and everything and all that, and not to mention Vault will I guess always be there to entertain. Because I told him straight up, I was there for like fighting game reviews and to hear him roast on like anime and roast on whatever.
Oh yeah, all the bullshit anime games that come out.
Also, another scene from like that your watch along last year that actually had everybody rolling back at the hotel. I played them. It was the freaking whatever that was. It looked like Genshin, whatever it was. And like,
Yeah.
because I think you were criticizing the fact that like all the girls look super young or whatnot, and then out of nowhere, literally, this freaking little girl falls out of the sky and right into this freaking guy's.
Yeah. Yeah. All
You were,
these.
you were like, look at this PDF
Oh man. Yeah, it was perfect timing for that stuff.
Oh my god! But like, I say that to say like, I just don't enjoy award shows like this. Music, I don't enjoy it much anymore, just because I just don't get the vitriol in most cases. It's like if my whole attitude is this: if my favorite wins, cool. If they don't, that's cool too. You know what I'm saying? I don't need freaking like like cause some how do I freaking put it? It's so crazy. It's like regardless of what the outcome of the 2022 Best Fighting Game Award was, KOF15 was still gonna be my favorite game of the bunch. I was hyped for JoJo's All-Star Battle R, but like that game, in my opinion, is definitely geared more towards like the offline casual. And there's people that play it competitively, but it's the fact that they didn't embrace the rollback is why I couldn't get into it. Like that would have to be something that I had to play offline with friends still.
Right.
But like it's funny because that game right there was my introduction to JoJo, because I instantly became a fan of Jolene and Lisa, which is funny because Lisa was the inspiration for one of my favorite fighting game characters, Street Fighter's Rose, which I found kind of funny. Well, not funny, but cool. That was cool because I didn't even like, I'm like, oh, I'm playing with an inspiration for one of my favorite characters. Nice.
Right.
But like, just because KOF15 lost doesn't make me think any less of it. It doesn't. Like,
Yeah.
the one good argument or the one good reasoning that I heard when it comes to being so, like, being upset about the fact that KOF15 didn't win, and I think this came courtesy of an artist in the community. She goes by Hellsick. Shout out to Hellsick. Because I think I saw her tell somebody, because it was somebody that basically had the same attitude that I have right now, where it's like, oh, it's just an award show, it's whatever, blah, 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 blah. I still like KOF. She had said that sometimes these awards can serve as publicity, which, as we've established, KOF, not really a normie, casual game.
Yeah.
Maybe if it had won, maybe could that have possibly been, you know, its breakthrough moment to the mainstream, possibly? It could have been.
Right.
But that's like the one good reason for, like, you know, I don't want to say vitriolic because, like I said, it's good reasoning. Just, I guess, being just so eager, just wanting it, like, just with so much ferocity, you know, like, that's the one good reason right there. The one sound reason, because unfortunately, like I mentioned earlier, with these people popping up, like, oh, this Multiversus, oh, this BKOF, oh, this BKOF, when, like, the freaking Multiversus screws up with something, air quotes, screws up, oh, this BKOF. It's like a lot of this comes off more just anti-Multiversus than pro KOF15. There are even people calling folks out, saying that they've seen more posts from people ever since Multiversus came back. They've seen more posts of people gassing up KOF rather than people actually playing it.
Yep. You hate to see that. You hate to see where people just like to talk. They won't go play KOF, they won't go support it, but they'll go on Twitter and they'll post, well, actually KOF's better than this game. And this is a thing I've started doing when people start like using these complaints for things, where if they praise something unnecessarily or if they deride something unnecessarily, I just respond with, show me your playtime, because I don't want to hear shit from you unless you are actively a current ongoing player of this game or you've played this game a lot. They'll just talk to talk. So I just respond all the time, show me your playtime. If you can't post the amount of time you've sunk into this product, I don't want to hear anything anymore, and I'm not having a conversation with you.
Show me your playtime. Show me your playtime.
That's all I want to see. Show me your playtime.
Yeah, like, I don't know. It's just, like I said, maybe it's just the realm that I'm in because I would just see that routinely, and it's like I'm like, did the fact that KOF15 lost at an award? This is another reason why I don't get it. A lot of these people, and I'm pretty sure you've seen it before because this is not the first awards, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
You've heard people say stuff like, "Oh, these awards don't matter. It's freaking bias, and
Mm-hmm.
the person that won sucked Jeff off the best, and blah blah blah." And all that. Like, so I'm like, if that's how you feel, then what credibility is there behind the award? Then you just sat there and said that it doesn't mean anything.
Mm-hmm.
That the freaking playing field's already freaking like it's like what the I just don't get that. It's like, why would you want somebody or why would you want somebody, something, whatever it is, to win an award that you literally just spent a whole bunch of time to write it?
Yeah.
Does it only have prestige when your favorite wins?
Yeah, sour grapes.
I hate the fact that I'm getting all these parallels with wrestling because it's almost the same thing. Titles don't mean anything. Championships don't mean anything. Okay, if titles and championships don't mean anything, why are you constantly pushing for your favorites to be champ or something? What? Or anybody?
Yeah,
Like,
it's just a bunch of
again,
sour grapes with these people.
like, I get wanting your favorites to win. Like I said, my favorite game from that year didn't even get a nomination. And I never stopped loving Multiversus. Never stop. I don't need an award to freaking tell me, hey, you should love Rumbleverse.
Right.
Love KOF. Like, come on, man. Seriously. That's why, like I say, had it not been for entertaining watch-alongs and reveal trailers, I probably wouldn't be watching this because, like, that's the reason why I stopped watching, like, all these other music award shows I used to watch. It's like, it's just not fun. It's just not fun. And I feel like freaking social media might have screwed that up a little bit because now you just see everybody's freaking opinion, just 15,000 opinions in under 5 microseconds.
Yeah.
It's like, oh my god.
Talking these people have far too much stock in their own opinion on things.
But you know what really just got me tripping about this whole thing with like people. Also, matter of fact, so much stuff is now, I'm getting all this stuff now. Number one, what is your reaction to people that say that Multiversus should not have won because it was in beta at the time?
So that's a tough one because if it had been before I knew the game was gonna go offline, I would have said it's fine that it was in beta at the time. But the fact that the game did go offline for a long time after that, I think that kind of soured my opinion on it as well. Because it basically wasn't a released product. Because I thought that it was going to be a beta, and then they were going to be constantly iterating on their progress and process during that, and then they just release it without it ever going online for offline for an extended period of time. But then when it did go offline for, I don't know how long it was definitely more than half a year. I don't remember the exact time. That's when I started to see the logic behind people's argument on that, because the Game Awards had never done that before. They had never nominated a game for any award that hadn't been a full release. But then the argument is also, at the time, it was treated like a full release. They had a proper tournament where people made a lot of money. They did have microtransactions that you could pay for. But they also never claimed that it was being fully released at that time. But they never also hinted that it was going to be taken offline for an extended period of time. So it's tough. I can see both sides of the argument on that one for why it shouldn't have been nominated at the time. But then again, what else would we have gotten? Because they fucking had the slot Simu in there, or Sifu in there. So what other bullshit would we have put in there at that time to make up numbers?
Probably that Phantom Breaker Omnia freaking game.
Yeah.
That was a re-release. Because they've done re-releases for fighting games even too, honestly.
Yeah, I don't think re-releases should ever get nominated for anything.
I
That's
mean, that JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, that's a re-release.
yeah, that got nominated too. But
I
that's
mean, it was a good one though, at least because I actually thought there was going to be another one of those games where PS3 or bust. I like these, so I'm glad they made it like more accessible there.
yeah.
Yeah, I asked you the beta question because you know what happened when they announced that it was going down, right? You know what happened, right?
No.
You know what
Oh
happened.
yeah, yeah. Everyone was like, "Oh, it's done.
They
It's
were
a
like, they were
failure."
telling, they were telling, they were telling Jeff, it's like, no, 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 no. You need to take that freaking award and give it to King of Fighters 15. This was a beta that's about to go down.
Yeah.
I saw somebody basically saying like they just shut it down once they won the award. They just gave it to the
That's the funny thing. It was pretty soon afterwards, because after they won the award, all of their like weekly updates and shit they were doing just dried up immediately. And then they were like, "Hey guys, we're going offline in a couple months. We'll be back when we're back." No, it might have been a full year because I think they went offline in like May of 2023.
It was a year. I think people kept emphasizing like it's been down for a year.
Yeah.
It's been down for a year. And yet people still talking about Jeff O's KOF15 apology. I'm like, we don't stop, please.
Yeah, they need to let it go.
Once I got the concept that this was pretty much slanted to more towards the casual audience, I'm like, okay. I even said this in the beginning. Like I said, I voted for KOF15, but I peeped the game. Okay,
Right.
I figured it was going to win. Like that game right there is freaking casual heaven.
Oh yeah, it was
Now,
super casual heaven.
if there's some award that's more geared towards the more hardcore player, or like let's say freaking somebody gets so pissy about this that they start like the fighting game awards or something like that, Multiversus is not winning anymore.
Oh yeah, Multiversus is not winning, but then also nobody's gonna be there. No one's going to. So it doesn't matter who wins. Nobody's gonna be there. It's gonna be Hungry Box and Maximilian, and that's it. So it wouldn't even matter.
So like another thing, because I think they've been passing around a lot of misinformation. Because like I have not dipped back into Multiversus since it came back. Because like I said, just to reiterate, if they didn't hear it, because I know we talked a little bit before we got like recorded. The thing with Multiversus for me is, first of all, it's kind of hard for me to get like really invested in platform fighters, even Smash. It's not like I won't try them, but like far as me like being really into it, it's kind of difficult. Like the last game like that I played was Rushdown Revolt, and that's
Okay.
only because I loved so many of those character designs. Speaking of characters, that's just the thing for me personally that kind of just had me looking at Multiverses like, just kind of like, because there weren't really that many characters for me to get invested in.
Right.
Like there was only really two. I played 4 characters. I played Harley, I played Velma, I played Tom and Jerry, and I played Arya. All of them I enjoyed, but the ones that I really enjoy playing, there's only 2, Velma and freaking Tom and Jerry. And it's like, I don't know if like maybe it's something else with the game, which I would like at least like, I'm guessing maybe a feel for it or whatever, but just me liking those 2 characters, it just wasn't enough for me to be invested in Multiverses long term. Like I said, so like I said, for someone like me, there's a lot working against Multiverses. Like you look at KOF15, there's several characters I can get invested in, several. Which unfortunately, due to like how KOF is, and I kind of wish people would kind of like, because whenever I talk about certain things with KOF15, like when I talk about the need for more single player content, people get back into that thing that's pretty much been a fighting game thing ever since we got into the era where microtransactions were a thing. Because they'll sit there and they'll tell you, well, the characters are the content. True.
Right.
But think about it. Is that going to help you stand out when like almost every other fighting game has got freaking DLC?
Yeah. No.
Like as a matter of fact, I recall, I don't know if you ever watched this guy's podcast, but I sometimes listen to it. I was actually supposed to be on an episode, but it's lost media now because it's kind of outdated and everything. I think he was busy with something, but Mikel Casanova, shout outs to him. He had History Behind the Warrior on for the second or third time. I know the 2 of them are friends. And out of nowhere, Mikhail Casanova was talking about, 'cause I think they were talking about, because both of them are content creators, and they're talking about, like, the struggles and the ins and the outs and the sores and things when it comes to content creation. And Mikhail Casanova randomly brings up the fact that people came at him because he wasn't making like KOF content anymore.
Okay.
And Mikhail apparently had like a very bad experience with SNK reps when it came to like, because I mean he is like the guy that pretty much gets it all, like tech reviews and like that person, like they did the reviews, so like the freaking companies will spoil them with all types of stuff, review this for us and everything and all that. So it's like he's one of those prominent people that you would think would have gotten like a code for the game or something like that. But I don't want to like botch his story too much, but I just know he had a very bad experience with SNK.
Okay.
And I know like he had even mentioned, like, at least in his, he said it, not me, because I also don't like what this term has devolved into.
Mm-hmm.
But he had said that KOF had died, which I have never once considered the game dead, because you could still like find matches and everything. It's just, yes, it did experience a sharp decline. It did.
Right.
Very sharp decline. But he also mentioned how like a lot of the KOF content creators have moved on, which the people that I think he's talking about, I guess that's kind of true, because I know around that time Street Fighter 6 was out. But fast forwarding, after he had mentioned everything with that, History Behind the Warrior said this. He said something along the lines of this. He said, what is it that King of Fighters is bringing to the table that other games are not?
Mm-hmm.
Like, what is it then? Because it's like, let's look at the playing field right now. Because I remember I had made a couple of videos defending the inclusion of this character, Sylvie Paula Paula, in freaking KOF15, which I am not a Sylvie super fan, but I defended that character because it's like, what the hell, man? Like, y'all are really this upset about this freaking character in here? Like, any character I see as DLC and like I know I'm not gonna buy them, I'm just like, well, there's my $5 or $6 or $7 or whatever dollars staying right there on my card. There. But these fools tried to, again, as I mentioned several times, these dudes, and I know it's mostly dudes, they were trying to make their dislike of this character a bigger deal than it actually is. Because you had somebody talking about, oh, well, you don't understand, there's competition, and SNK should have put fan favorites in there instead of some random trashy character. And it's like, if this freaking character, right, if you think this character, the inclusion of this character is hindering KOF15's ability to compete with other games, there's a whole lot of other shit that did that.
Mm-hmm.
Again, matchmaking, not a lot of modes. The fuck?
Yeah, just a lot of.
Like, or at least like either, like, here's my thing: either you have a decent, healthy amount of interesting and diverse single player modes or content or whatever, or you have a mode that has just the craziest, intriguing, addicting amount of replayability because there's so much fine, so much to explore, so much to get if you put unlockables in there. Cool. You do either one of those two things, cool.
Mm-hmm.
But KOF did neither of those things.
Mm.
But it's like, let's see what the competition's doing though, because y'all like, well, SNK needs to put in fan favorites. It's DLC. Street Fighter 6 came out not long after that. A whole bunch of like the biggest. I'm pretty sure, I could be wrong or whatnot, but hey, I'm willing to gamble on it.
Mm-hmm.
The biggest portion of the Street Fighter audience, from hardcores to freaking casuals, then love Street Fighter freaking 2. There's a reason why that mess pops up in so many freaking best video game, best fighting game lists,
Right.
And they loaded the starting roster with them freaking Street Fighter 2 characters. As a matter of fact, somebody pointed out an Easter egg where it's like, if you look at the way they're like positioned on the select screen,
Mm-hmm.
it was literally the same way they were positioned in the Street Fighter 2 select screen.
Oh.
Picture. They are stuffing their mess with freaking fan favorites. Like you, but then what else is Street Fighter 6 doing? Hey, we got this world tour mode.
Mm-hmm.
You can go around exploring the town. You can fight like freaking random people with your character. You can mix and match freaking fight styles, buy all this drip for your character and everything.
Right.
Single player content. You got these freaking wacky extreme battle modes and stuff offline where you got mess falling all over the place and bulls charging left and right while you're trying to fight. And then on top of that, like you have certain ones that have more of a mission edge to it where it's like, as opposed to just reducing your opponent's HP to 0, it's like land this many attacks, okay, mark that off, and do this and do this and do this. Unique single player content. It's an interesting spin on the gameplay. But you want to talk about competition? What's KOF doing, 15 doing, that is anyway like that? And
So here's an interesting question I have.
freaking Tekken 8, freaking. What's your question?
Do you think that KOF is screwed because of where they are in terms of cultural representation? Because if you think about platform fighters like Smash and Multiversus, they are survived by...
You said platform fighters, Vault. Those aren't real fighting games.
Right.
That's so much.
Yeah.
For somebody who's not even that good at freaking platformers, I hate that. Man. Platform fighters are fighting games. End of story.
Yeah, people are silly with that argument. But with those two games, they have survived because they have Nintendo characters who are culturally significant and Warner Brothers properties who are culturally significant. But then you have other games like Mortal Kombat, Tekken, and Street Fighter. But those things are survived by their brand recognition. The most casual of casuals know Scorpions get over here. They know the Scorpion versus Sub-Zero rivalry. They know what a Hadouken is. They know who Ryu is. They've seen Jin and the Kazuya and the Kazama family. Like, that's casual shit. KOF, as far as I've seen, do you think they're just kind of screwed because they don't have a Hadouken? They don't have a Sub-Zero or a Scorpion, someone, even Rock Howard or Terry Bogard with their popularity, they're still only very popular in very specific niches. Like, you can't just go to someone in the street and be like, hey, do you know what Hadouken is for like KOF? And they'll be like, oh yeah, like do you know what fucking what's Terry Bogart's thing?
Power Wave.
Yeah, do you know Power Wave? What is that related to? They're like, I don't know. Is that my electricity company? You know, they won't know. Do you think that's something that they can fix?
The thing for me is, number one, SNK needs to stop listening to these people that jock ride the 90s.
Mm-hmm.
They need to. This is coming from a child of the 90s, because I know several people have accused me, like, you must be some 09ers. Like, I'm a fucking 90s millennial. Shut the fuck up.
Right.
I'm a 90s millennial. I grew up with this shit, okay? I grew up freaking wanting to be on Nickelodeon Guts because the aggro crag was so bad. I freaking grew up constantly calling the character from Fatal Fury Big Bear. I kept calling him Big Beard because I was still learning how to freaking read.
Right.
So I've been through this stuff. But it's like, they need to stop marketing mess like it's the 90s, because we're past that. Like, that's just the thing with me. Is like, back to the whole thing with drawing casuals. SNK just, at least when it comes to KOF, they just do not, at least, I don't want to say they don't know how to, but they just haven't done a good job of just reaching that. And the funny thing about you mentioning Smash is, well, who was in that game? One Terry Bogard was in that freaking game.
Right.
You see, SNK characters have been all over the place when it comes to guest appearances in freaking popular fighting games and even those that are niche then. Terry Bogard has literally been a guest character in 3 different games. One of them was mainstream. The other 2 are actually very niche, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
Because obviously he was in Smash. He was also a guest in this game called Fighting EX Layer, which is still going, because my friend sends me competitive, like, it's one of those games at tournaments, like the really big ones, like smaller games like that one will still get some play, but they're not the main event. You know?
Right.
He was in that one, and then he was in this pretty much mostly KOF inspired Chinese game that also is kind of lost media, if I'm not mistaken, or it never got an official release outside of China. It's called Zhen Doji Wong.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very much KOF influence because one of the characters is literally just Kyo but decked out in red. And like I think he was like the inheritor of like a freaking like a corporation or something like that. The character's name is Jan.
Okay.
And the funny thing is his alternate costume is literally almost a direct ripoff of. But it's like, because then you had that. You had Geese being in Tekken 7, which actually drew me to Tekken 7.
Mm-hmm.
You've had Iori, who was in a obscure anime fighter. I think this franchise is actually something else because it's Million Arthur.
Mm-hmm.
But Million Arthur had like a freaking fighting game called Million Arthur Arcana Blood, and he was in that. It's kind of funny because Kyo is like the man when it comes to KOF, like the main guy.
Okay.
And yet he has never had a mainline fighting game guest appearance. Nowhere. Not first party, not third party. It's so crazy. And it's like then Maru, freaking Sam Show was even trying to climb out of it. But then again, a Sam Show character in Soul Calibur though, like that's a match made in heaven. Because people forget Sam Show has 3D games.
Mm-hmm.
And see, I like that. And how could I forget? I know they're gonna get pissy at me, and it's so funny. I love this character, but she simultaneously frustrates me. Mai was in 2 freaking back-to-back Dead or Alive games.
Yeah.
Like I'm a big Mai fanboy, but I can't stand the fanboys that keep constantly reminding people. Like I had a video out where I was talking about characters I wanted for the new Fatal Fury, and I was trying to pick characters that we haven't seen that much of. And like I put that out there. First of all, like I said, it was just my wish list. But you got somebody talking about we need the Mai, and it's like, can y'all shut up about Mai? Ever since that KOF12 thing, which long story short, that was the one game that she was excluded from. Mai was not in King of Fighters 12.
Okay.
And as a result of that, the freaking online horn dogs, or I think they call them Coomers nowadays or something like that.
Yeah, Gooners, Coomers, always something with 2 O's.
They started a movement called No Mai, No Buy.
No, that's sad.
And they scared the whatever you want to put, the piss, whatever it is. They scared the piss out of SNK to the point where it's like, I keep saying, that character is going to be a lock for so much stuff going forward, okay? It's even worse because you hear Mai's voice in the Fatal Fury trailer. The one they showed at EVO where it's like, they teased about 6 or 7 characters. You can hear her voice.
Okay.
So why in the heck we need Mai? Oh my god. People, y'all have scared SNK straight when it comes to that. Like literally, it is the Akira meme with freaking Tetsuo Shima. It's literally that freaking meme where it's like, like the whole thing where it's like the little bell rings and then like you seen that one?
Right.
Like it's basically that. It's like we need my thing. I love me some Mai, but shut the fuck up about Mai. She's not going anywhere. That is an icon, okay? Which is so funny because then you got people talking about that Shermie character I mentioned earlier. They're saying like, oh, she's the new Mai, and it's like, look here. Shermie is awesome. Shermie's cool. It's glad to have her back in a KOF game, and I am not going to talk about SNK heroines because fuck that game. It's cool to have her back. I know that people were just drooling waterfalls over her, and her trailer was the first one in KOF that got like millions of views and everything. But until like, I'm just saying, even right now, you cannot hold up a picture of Shermie to the average person and they'll know who that is. They're gonna know Mai though.
Right.
They're going to know Mai. There was a whole hubbub about Mai when she wasn't included in Smash. Wasn't that a whole thing? The whole freaking no Mai in Smash. Like Smash is only for good little boys and girls or some mess like that. Like, come on, man. But that's just the thing. Like, I've been enjoying this timeline of SNK characters making guest appearances and like these, like, I mean, in games, period. But I would hope it would be more prominent in like the more mainstream games because that's a pretty clever way of like, getting some eyeballs on the game or whatnot.
Right.
Especially like if they don't know about it. You know what I'm saying? But they just like, because as far as like them, like you said, like, they don't have a Hadouken or anything, like, it's there with Terry. It's there. But the other thing with SNK is when you look at games, for instance, like Fatal Fury, probably to a lesser extent,
Right.
but also the King of Fighters, and then even Sam Show, those last two in particular, SNK did something that a lot of other franchises don't really do, especially the big ones when it comes to their fighting games. Because with every couple of King of Fighters games, there's an arc. And even though Kyo and Terry are always going to be there and everything, there's a new protagonist every time.
Right. Okay.
Kyo was the protagonist of the Orochi saga, him and his team. Then came the Nest saga, which is the K-Dash character, which is a clone of Kyo. That's the guy you might have seen like in the tight kind of biker type of leather, and he's kind of like a little bit more brown skin. He has like the shades and the white hair and everything. That's
Right.
K-Dash. He was the protagonist in the second arc, which was the Nest arc. The third one, and see, this one was the Ash saga, and of course, this was a titular saga because the protagonist was Ash Crimson. He was a loose cannon. Because at first you got Kyo, who like he got some jerkish tendencies, but you know he's clearly a good guy. K-Dash, kind of more of a reluctant hero, you know, especially like with his attitudes, like whatever, if I gotta do it, I gotta do it.
Right.
He's kind of an overgrown freaking child, honestly. But it's like overgrown child, but also trying to be edgy. Then we go into Ash Crimson, who is literally a loose cannon, because people didn't like Ash because he looked too girly. People didn't like the fact that he did a lot of heelish things in his arc. But like I said, he was a chaotic type of character. He was like a chaotic.
Oh wait, Ash is a guy.
He's a guy. He felt. He got. He got. Oh no.
Yeah. Okay. I've never heard like voice lines from Ash. But I saw the character design. I always thought Ash was a woman.
His message is very nasally, and like even though it's like mostly like in Japanese, they did a good job with his voice because I could still hear like the scumminess and like the trollishness just melting off of the voice. And of course, they also like even though it's in Japanese, like they do of course recite some French because I know he grew up in France. So.
Okay.
Like bon voyage. That's not my best impression of Ash, but there you go. But like his message is very nasally, and like it also comes off very trolly.
Okay.
And our current protagonist is Shunei, which he's very humble, very nice boy. Which, in my opinion, the reason they presented a protagonist like him, who is very humble and very nice and very gentle and very mannerable, was the fact that we went from Kyo, who you know he has some jerkish tendencies. K-Dash just has a freaking temper, and he's leaning more to that jerkish freaking area. And then we got Ash, who is doing all these heelish freaking things and all that. It's like, okay, let's calm down. Let's just bring in somebody who can at least just be a good freaking person at least. Which is good, but unfortunately, I've made videos about this character. I don't want to get back into this mess then, but like, the way they handled his story, Shunei's story, it wasn't the best, honestly. Like in 14, you could be forgiven if you didn't know he was the main protagonist because he's not presented that way. He's not. In no way, shape, or form is he presented that way. At least something that's prominent that you would immediately see. In 15, they did better. We learn about his backstory. He's basically a yokel. That's why he's dressed like that. At least like from my theory, I think he like because everybody talks about the design, but then one of my viewers actually educated me on what Fei Juliu is, which is basically like, if you look it up, it's like Chinese. I call it's like Chinese punk, but like it's also got traces of visual K because some of like the stuff does look a little bit girly, like with the guys or whatnot. But most of the stuff looks very freaking dark and edgy, whereas like you have Shunei here with like this green hair and the freaking tie is a color and his freaking beads are another color and his shirt is another color and his freaking cape shirt jacket is another color. It's like I didn't see stuff when I was looking up Fei Juliu that was as colorful as his was. But like a lot of people didn't like the design or whatever. Like I said, for me, it makes sense that a yokel who's basically being shoehorned into the city would think, you know, this is how the cool people freaking dress, huh?
Right.
It's like, but you know, the headphones are like, you know, part of like, meant to be a limiter on his power, basically. But again, he just wasn't presented that well at all. He wasn't marketed all that well. It's like, again, when the very first KOF 14, which was his first game, that was the first game of the Shunei saga. You get that case, and it's a nice little little metal case or whatever. And look, and guess who's on the front? Kyo is. It's Kyo. It's like, okay, making me, Kyo. We know who that is and all that, but like, I had to dig. Like, I had to get super freaking nerdy where it's like, oh, this kid with the headphones, he's the guy. This the guy. This guy. And it's like, why? And the funny thing about it is they put out a complete edition of KOF 14 where they still have Iori and Kyo on the cover, but they're kind of like in the backdrop, and they got Shunei right in the middle, like kind of, I guess, about to do one of his attacks. And it's like, it looks really good. It's like, why didn't y'all put this out here first? It shows that this is the guy. It's a cool looking cover. And like, you still got, and like, in case you're worried, like, oh my God, like, we don't think this character is going to draw people, which, again, I think that SNK did not have confidence in that character.
Right.
Well, okay, we can just throw our boys up there, like, throw the Iori and the Kyo up there, and we're good. It's like, SNK got to work on their marketing is all I'm saying. Like, I don't even think like the freaking like KOF is passe or anything, because SNK's been through a whole bunch of mess. They literally came back from a bankruptcy. You know what I'm saying? That's why it was so funny, like in certain cases, hearing people talking about, do y'all think that it's gonna be able to compete against such and such? And it's like, well, actually, not even compete. They were talking about, is it gonna be able to last with these other games around? And it's like, they've been through worse, okay?
Right.
And that freaking period before KOF 14 where they were doing patchy slot games and stuff, like, they've been through worse. SNK is resilient, and you have to respect that.
Yeah, I mean, and I think don't they have another game coming out soon?
Yeah, that's Fatal Fury City of the Wolves, which I was about to get to, because you mentioned Terry, you mentioned Rock. This right here could very well be their coming out party. This could definitely be it. Like, everything I've seen so far, it's looking promising. They've, even though they did this with King of Fighters 15, thankfully they're doing it here, because I know a lot of people are like, oh, like the modern controls. Well, they're there, okay? That's one thing that you're gonna have to do if you want to hook in those new players, get that audience. You're gonna have to put something in like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And Street Fighter 6 has shown that you can actually put that in there and make it to where it's not really lopsiding anything. Even though we have, and you've probably seen it, in tournaments, some people will use a modern version, like modern controls version of like this character or that one. Like, somebody, Haitani placed really high at the very first Street Fighter 6 Evo with modern controls Unleashed. So, I mean, there's that. But then on top of that, and it hasn't been shown yet, and I can't wait to see this, but they actually listened to the people that were saying, hey, we need some unique offline single-player content, because they have said that they were looking to really boost the offline single-player experience. And I heard that, I'm like, thank you. Thank you. These could be modes that I could despise. But you know what? If it draws in the casuals, good job. Good job. But it's like, you can't be doing the same exact freaking thing, especially when freaking Street Fighter stepped outside of its comfort zone and threw in a doggone, what is it? Like, basically an open world mode.
Right, yeah. And that's what you need. That's the kind of stuff you need to kind of to delve into and to flesh out for your casual audience, because a lot of the time casual players they want to play your game, they want to be engaged with your game, they like your characters, they like your art style, but they don't want to constantly be playing that 1v1 mode against other players.
Yeah, like, unless like you were really creative, like when you put something in there where it's like there's some legitimate enjoyability and replayability, cool. If you make something like that, you a bad boy. But it's like, that wasn't there for 15. And like I said, I cannot wait to see what they cook up for this. It's like, I've said it before and I'll say it again. why in the world, like I say, why not freaking they try their hand at like a freaking open world mode or whatever? It's like y'all always talk about how Fatal Fury and AOF and KOF and oh, the story is so freaking good. The story is better than most other fighting games. Put it in the game. I'm telling you, so many of these characters, many that people don't even know about, have so much personality. I'm pretty sure, like, I could see several of these characters getting over or finding favor with like some new fans.
Right.
I could see a whole lot of new people enjoying a character like a Duck King, who basically like he has like a breakdancing fighting style. Like overall, he looks pretty cool, and like in the movie, like in the movies and in certain adaptations, he's kind of portrayed as a goof.
Okay.
But like if you just look at this character like in action or whatnot, like he could draw some people. It's like there's so much like so many personalities here. Just like put it in the game, man. Put it in the game to like a way like where somebody can really get in, like where someone can really like connect with that. Like we're not in the 90s anymore. Like I know that's the glory days and all that, but 90s are gone. Been gone for freaking over 30 years.
Yeah.
Fighter Six in here, freaking putting out open world modes. You got freaking Grand Blue Fantasy versus Ryzen with a whole bunch of mess. Like they put a freaking Fall Guys freaking over that mess. It's like it, and people like it might sound silly, but it's like it's something unique. And like there are times even when people who love to grind and play, like matter of fact, take that back. Strike the word grind from my record. There are people like myself that freaking like, you know, there are people, competitive players that, you know, 5+ hours or so like in ranked and trying to get that rank up and everything, but there'll come a time it's like, man, screw this, I want to play something else.
Yeah.
That's where your little side stuff comes from. Freaking Mortal Kombat, like I know Mortal Kombat 1 is in a very weird spot right now, as far as like its overall reception. But like ever since they went 3D, particularly with the with Deadly Alliance and beyond, they got hella experimental with their single player content. All types of mess, from freaking conquest modes that basically, I mean, conquest mode took like 3 different forms. Because at first, in at least my memory in Deadly Alliance, it was teach you the basics of the game, and you even had conquests for each individual character where you would basically do like combo trials. And you're doing all that while you're earning currency, which you would use in the crypt to unlock stuff. Then freaking conquest mode turned into kind of an open world sort of thing, kind of. Where it's like, you know, you went around the world with Chujinko and you had to like on a like various missions and stuff like that. And there are also very like, you know, specific unlocks that were there because you would earn these keys from certain things and all that. Again, something connected to the little crypt where you could unlock stuff.
Right. Just small stuff like that.
Conquest, and then they turned Conquest and Armageddon, which is a very weird ass game. But like freaking, it became almost like a beat 'em up because you're beating up freaking masses of opponents and doing fatalities on them and stuff like that. And it was so funny. That mode was so freaking cool, but the protagonist you played, at least in my opinion, was boring. Taven is boring. I remember when Taven was trying to sound like intimidating when he knew that he was being deceived. Cease this deception.
Yeah, I mean, I have no love for Mortal Kombat as a franchise anywhere. I think
it's been love-hate for me, kind of, sort of, you know.
I just consider it a tech demo franchise, just to show you the graphical capabilities of fighting games, and that's it. Because that's all anyone cares about.
And then, like with Deception, they freaking got even bolder and like, well, not Deception or what? Nah, I got it wrong. I think I might. I'll just put it like this, because I'm pretty sure you might have seen it, maybe you haven't. But then they had like a freaking puzzle mode in there, like a Tetris mode in Mortal Kombat.
Wait, in MK1 they have that?
Not in MK1. I was trying to make sure I didn't get it wrong, because I remember that, and then there was that Mario Kart knockoff that it had. Yeah, they did. There was a freaking There was a freaking Mortal Kombat knockoff game in one of the freaking Mortal Kombats there.
Oh my goodness.
It was, I mean, like at the time we played, it was like goofy fun or whatever, but it was, Deception. Deception was where Puzzle Combat was. So I had it right. Good. Yeah, Deception had like this freaking puzzle freaking combat, which, again, silly, but at the same time, I like puzzle games, so it was fine with me. But my favorite of all time, and still nothing, and I mean nothing, has beaten it. And it's such a shame that they won't bring that back. Chess combat. In my opinion, like, I might have to sit down and think about it a little bit. Chess combat to me is the best, like, single player offline mode in fighting games ever. Pretty sure somebody out there could throw out some more interesting ones, but as far as I'm concerned, nothing has topped chess combat. Nothing. Chess combat was so fun, so addictive. Like, like I said, credit to them, they kept experimenting with single player content over the years. Some received well and some not, because I know the invasions in MK1 are not being warmly received.
Right.
What I understand.
Yeah, no,
but
people
like,
aren't fancying the mode.
Oh, wow. But I just can't wait to see what they have for Fatal Fury City of the Wolves. Like, I can't wait to see what they have. Like, I'm just glad that they're doing it.
Yeah, oh yeah, me too. It looks fantastic. It looks like they're really giving it, the old college try to appeal to a broader fan base. Looks like they're adding in a lot of interesting stuff. It might be my first KOF I get, because I've already looked into it and looked at other YouTubers talk about it as well. And I'm like, this looks fun.
Fatal Fury is like a standalone. It's its own like standalone like franchise. It was the original fighting game franchise what SNK did.
Oh yeah.
Those characters are part of the massive crossover that is KOF. Like, KOF has been its own thing for so long, and there hasn't been another Fatal Fury or Art of Fighting in so long. People just think KOF, but they forget that this game is basically a crossover. You have a crossover of Fatal Fury characters, Art of Fighting characters, and even characters that came from non-fighting games like Ralph and Clark, the little military dudes, and Athena. Athena's not from a fighting game. Like, so many characters. Like, it's basically just like SNK, the crossover fighting game, but like a less plain name or whatever, and like it's something actually a lot more cool. Because the King of Fighters is actually what the tournament is called in like canon. The very first Fatal Fury game is called Fatal Fury King of Fighters. So
yeah, no, I'm definitely looking forward to that one. Does that even have a full release date yet?
No, we just know it's going. I think it's gonna be next year.
No, yeah, most likely.
Well, hold on, let me see. Like, was it? Because in the beginning, I know I speculated when we first learned about it that I'm like, this can't come out this year. I don't want this to, like, it's the first Fatal Fury game in years. Do not rush job. This is coming out in 2025, so next year.
Okay.
So I'm like, it cannot come, and I know, like, I understand, we've seen it right now, and we want to play it and all that. All of us that are the actual normies and not like the content creators and the influencers that get the special privilege to try them out at these little events. But I understand it's like, you see it, you want to play it and everything and all that. But I don't want it to be a rush job.
Oh yeah, not at all. Definitely should take the time.
Learn from what happened with KOF15, with what happened with Samurai Showdown. Learn from that. And like, I don't know what the freaking landscape of fighting games is gonna look like in 2025, but like, if City of the Wolves can pretty much keep it mostly together and everything, they might actually, might be a little bit of redemption for SNK. It could be.
Yeah, they could take it next year, and that's the hope. They could take fighting game of the year next year if they can. Well, Dragon Ball Sparking Zero, when is that? Might be some strong competition.
I'm about to joke that freaking Multiversus is gonna get
yeah, the Multiversus wins again.
I saw somebody on Twitter talking about they want to do like unadulterated harm to Multiversus for beating KOF.
Yeah, Multiversus is done. They got their one award. That's the last time we'll ever see them win anything ever again.
I know this is kind of a pivot, and I know we weren't really going to touch on this though, but I just thought about it because I was looking over all the characters that got revealed. Because I know like you have a video in the making going after the Brain Rot crew or the freaking Culture War Warriors, whatever you want to call them.
Right.
They've already kind of sort of Fatal Fury City of the Wolves is kind of sort of already been a victim of that because so far only one new character, like fresh new, making their debut. Only one fresh new character has been revealed, and it's this girl named Preecha, Preecha. Now, if you look at her, like she basically just kind of looks like and seems to be a nerd.
Yeah, that's what she looks like.
But she also has like these really interesting poses where I guess she's into photography or something like that. But the thing is, apparently, and I'm trying to make sure I got all my facts and my ducks in a row. I think they speculated that. Long story short, I heard something where they were saying the name Preecha is Thai. So the name Preecha is noted to be a masculine name in Thai. The proper feminine counterpoint to the name is Preechaya, Preechaya. Now, you're on the outside looking in at this, so I'm interested to hear what you have to say, whether this might be a stretch or not. Some people think because she was given a masculine name in that language, there are rumors and theories claiming that this character's trans. And that's where the Brain Rot Warriors came in, or whatever you want to call them.
Okay. So
now
So they hold on. I'm looking up the voice actress for her.
Oh, I forgot to mention that. Now you could also chime in on this because I don't know if this would have that much of an effect or whatnot. I just know you have more a perspective of, on the outside looking in. That was another thing. Like, yeah, this is going to be like the first SNK game in quite a minute, like since the Maximum Impact games at KOF. We got English dubs.
Yes, I love that.
I was thinking, like, do you think that might help? I guess
1,000% that's going to help. 1,000%, because as many fans of these kind of Japanese media may not like it, people like to hear the language they speak. People are lazy. They don't want to have to read every time they play the game. People like to hear the language they speak. There's a reason why Dragon Ball's most popular release is the English dub. They like to hear what they can understand. There's a loud vocal minority online who thinks that sub is the one true way of listening to things, and the Japanese voices always sound better. And some loser ass weebs who change the fucking voice language in every game they play to Japanese. What did I see recently? I think it was Multiverse. Was it Multiverse? There was another game where recently they had changed the spoken voices to Japanese, and of course the weebs online were like, oh my god, doesn't it sound much cooler? And it's like, you don't even know what the fuck they're saying. Like, you're such a loser that just hearing Japanese is cool to you. But it being in English is going to be a huge benefit, because I know personally when I was playing Blaze Blue Central Fiction, I started playing the other one. What's the one where they finally got the dubs and they had the crossover characters from the Persona series? Cross Tag. Yeah, I started playing that one because I was like, oh man, I want to know more about these characters. I want to learn more about them, but it's all Japanese, and I'm like, I don't have the patience for it myself. So I think that's definitely going to be a huge boon for them.
Yeah, I was wondering about, like, was that going to possibly help them, like, reach more of that casual audience there? I try to refrain from saying how I feel about any of the English dubs, not because I'm a weeb into just the Japanese, but like I don't have the best track record when it comes to, hmm, I guess judging voices. I'll just put it like this.
Right.
Ever since I gave Megan Fox a pass on what I thought
You did
her,
what?
there, I even poked fun at myself because like I forgot what it was. What video was it? I know they had revealed. Dang, it was a video I know where they had revealed Natara, and of course they had mentioned Megan Fox from The Voice or whatever. And I had said, based on what I had heard thus far, which was like just scenes and stuff or whatever, like the game had been out yet. I'm like, so far from what I heard, sounds pretty good. And then literally the day that mess comes out, I'm seeing all these different clips where I'm like, oh my god.
Yeah, you know, I'm in the same boat. When I first heard her in the release trailer and like the kind of trailer showing her, I was like, she's fine. She's not bad. Ronda Rousey was worse. But then like once the full release happened and you heard more voice lines, it's like, so they picked the best ones for that first trailer because this is
Oh yeah.
horrible.
Oh yeah, like the ones that stick out to me, because spoiler, I have not played the full Mortal Kombat 1 story mode yet. I actually kind of put that mess on the shelf, like once the mess started to flop, because I'm like, dang man, because I was regretting like buying that game and was thinking like maybe I should have saved my money for Tekken 8 because Tekken 8 is Mortal Kombat. But to give them some credit, they've kind of suckered me in because I liked what I saw in the recent trailer with Homelander, but more so with Farah. Like I don't know all that much about the boys or Invincible or Peacemaker. I just know all three of those characters have popular series
Hmm.
that were out around this time, and I mean, freaking Warner Brothers, NRS, they love that cross promotion. They love it.
Hmm.
I know freaking with MK11, um, Terminator came out en route to Terminator Dark Fate coming out in the movie, so they love, like I said, they love that cross promotion. And I mean, I get it. You know, throwing the characters out there and having them cross over, that's one way to get extra eyes on it, possibly,
Right.
you know. But yeah, ever since I did that, I always have like this running gag on the channel where I'm like, I'm not gonna comment on whether I think these dubs are good or not because of yeah, I said that about Mega Fox. The mess that sticks out to me, because even though I hadn't played the story, I have like watched the intro clash quotes and everything, because those, regardless, are always good. Like, regardless of what you might think about every Mortal Kombat from X to now, you know, I think with all of them, the intros with the characters, like the special intro dialogues, they've always been pretty good. Always been good. And I think it was Natara talking to Johnny Cage, and that mess was just delivered badly. He's like, "Of course I fly. I have wings."
Oh, but there was a line that, and it's the one I think of every time I think of her. I don't know. She might have been talking to Johnny Cage, and she was like, "Don't I scare you in the least?" And I was like,
Yes.
"Oh no!" I'm sure they could do another take. I'm positive. Why didn't they ask?
Oh my god! Like, and the funny part about it is, like, I guess what they were trying to get across with that particular exchange was Johnny Cage just kind of making all these serious people look stupid and everything. But I'm like, I don't know. This sounds off. I
Yeah.
scare you in the and then that freaking struggle, and that struggle at the end.
Yeah, that voice crack, that it's like that Marge Simpson voice crack. It's like, you sure you guys getting us gonna try it one more time?
And then there's one she has with Omni Man where she sounded less like somebody threatening and sounded more like a teacher, like teaching a freaking student about what's the word I'm looking for? Damn. I guess comparisons or whatever or whatnot. It's
Hmm.
like, as pigs are to humans, humans are to Veternians, and it's like, you a vampire? Or are you trying to educate him or something?
Yeah, it's just a
And every
teacher.
and ever since then, I was like, let me not, because after I did that, I think I pretty much shot my credibility.
Yeah, no, it was rough. But yeah, I looked up that voice actress, the one who's going to be playing Preacher. She's not trans, so I don't think Preacher's trans. I think if they were making a cognizant effort to have Preacher be trans, they would have gotten a trans voice actress. I think
Nah,
that's
that is notable because I know with Marisa, the Street Fighter 6 newcomer, the big buff Italian the big beautiful Italian muscle mommy, whatnot. Her voice actress, she's bi, because Marisa's bi. So
yeah. With that kind of stuff now, with modern sensibilities, a lot of the time they are trying to be simpatico with what the character is. So if it's a black person, look at a black person. If it's a Italian or French or person, look at a someone of that culture. And if they're trans, look at a trans actor.
that's interesting when you mention it there, because it was just so it's so it was kind of funny to me in a ways how it's like Phil Lamar kind of bounced around when it came to freaking Mortal Kombat roles, because when I first heard Gears in MK1, I'm like, okay, he sounds like Kodo, so I'm guessing it's Phil Lamar doing his voice.
Mm-hmm.
Which is interesting because I'm like, wait a minute, hold on. In that case, who was voicing Gears last time? And it's like, I think it was a white guy.
Yeah, the thing that's only changed very recently. That they're trying to make that push, because I was looking at it because I was going to make a video about the casting for the Avatar: The Last Airbender older generation series. It's basically the original gang, but when they're older, like their mid-20s. And they didn't cast the same actors that did the original voices. They casted people that were more in line with what the actors were. So Toph is being voiced by a blind Asian woman, and not the original, which was a Caucasian woman. And I was like, oh, was that necessary? Because I would have preferred to get like the whole original cast back. Was it necessary to pivot to that? But then I was like battling the idea in my head, and I was like, wait, but I love Phil Lamar as a voice actor, and he voices fucking Samurai Jack, and he's a black guy. So it's like, is it more? Am I more concerned with the talent behind it, or am I more concerned with the intent behind getting the right kind of person for the right role?
I think the idea with some of that is the fact that when you have somebody who can relate to like this particular aspect of a character, I guess the idea is that there's a connection there, so like you could probably bring the character more life. Because going back to KOF, just KOF in general, Kyo's long time voice actor, like he doesn't currently voice him now. I think his last game was, I think it was KOF. I think it was 13, because they brought in the new guy in 14 and 15, I want to say. Because the new guy that because the current guy that voices Kyo right now, he I think also voices the Japanese dub for Luke, Street Fighter Luke.
Okay.
But yeah, Masahiro Nanaka was the long time voice of Kyo, and he actually even said like in an interview that he actually related to Kyo like in the early days of Kyo, like when he's kind of just being the big jerk with a heart of gold, and like oh, I was born with this power, so training or whatever.
Right.
But then Kyo does mature with every single game that comes around, and since he had matured and wasn't like wild and kind of like just just kind of like, I guess, a Fonz type of character, I guess, or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
When Kyo had grew up, Masahiro Nanaka said he couldn't relate to him anymore. So that's how somebody like is connected with a character.
Right.
So like maybe it might be something like that. I've never really casted anyone like as far as like casting for a character. So I mean, I don't know what the context is. I know different studios and directors have different like motivations and reasonings for picking who they pick. So
yeah.
But I don't know. Like, I just know everybody has a different approach to it. I would just think, like, if you got somebody blind or whatnot, that would be good for, like, live action or something like that. But there might be something special that but there might be something special that comes through that when it comes to delivering voice work, I suppose.
Yeah, I
That was
mean,
a,
there
I didn't know
might
that about
be.
Toph though. I did not know that about Toph because I love Toph.
Yeah, there might be something that comes across better when the person has a relation to it,
And
to
I
the
think for
character.
Phil Lamar, it was it was a nice little shift there because the character he had originally voiced pretty much got killed. So, and far as we know, he's not in. I don't think he's like a playable character in MK. Well, I don't think he's there anymore then. Because before he was Kotal Khan, and Kotal Khan's out the picture. So it's like that's got to be funny. It's like the character you voiced died, but it's like, hey, we got something else for you. Here you go.
Yeah, I mean, it was like character. I think what was it? Was it Injustice, where I think two voice actors in there just switched roles for some reason. In so it was like Injustice 1, I think it was Green Arrow and Aquaman, and then Injustice 2 they had different. It was the same actors, but they just got different roles.
I need to go back and watch that freaking Injustice 2 story mode in particular. I gotta watch that one, like, because that right there. Because I remember praising the story mode of Injustice 2 so much, but there were people in terms of like because I was like one of those people where I was like, hey, fighting games, take notes like this right here. And they're like, man, you cheating, man, because it's established characters in DC Comics. Like, these are established characters. Like, yeah, but just everything they did with that was just like from top to bottom. I was into it.
Right.
That was so good. Even though my one scene does stick out in my head, and that's where Wonder Woman couldn't handle the fact that she had got owned by Harley.
Oh yeah, Injustice's story was very very bizarre. It's one of those things that it's kind of why you can't really use comic book characters in a lot of things, because to say that like there's an evil Superman who does what he wants and he's not consistently ripping people's spines out immediately, like it kind of breaks the law. Because like, if he's doing what he wants, the fact that there are any opposition to him is silly. But you got to make a story.
You reminded me of people that said they should have just put the freaking evil regime Superman in Mortal Kombat 1 instead of Omni-Man and
And Homelander, no, nobody wants to see that shit.
Especially seeing like when freaking especially when freaking Homelander came out, like everybody was basically on their heels about whether or not Homelander would have this particular string, like this little combo string that Superman had, which was like the most annoying thing ever. I want to say it was like 4-3-2 or something like that. But like, yeah, because I watched Losty Girl react to Homelander, and I also watched Max react to him as well. And both of them literally, and even so many people on freaking X Gonna Give It To You were talking about freaking, does he have this? Does he have that string? Does he have that Superman string? Does he have that dreaded Superman string? Does he?
No.
Like, clearly I did not want that back or whatever. Some people were saying they weren't impressed by him because it was nothing but a bunch of lasers, and I'm like, look at here. I've only looked up like very like minimal things about him because one day I do hope to just sit down and marathon The Boys because it does sound like it's really interesting. But from what I've heard about him, that's like his primary thing. Just the lasers, is like anything that pisses him off, he just
Yeah. No, that's definitely his main thing.
So I mean, what were you expecting? Like I understand right now, I think zoning is kind of a nightmare in in the game right now, but still, it's like, what were you expecting?
Yeah, I mean, I guess they were hoping for different collab characters, perhaps.
And not to mention, this season's not even over yet. We got one more character, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what Takeda's got going on.
Yeah, I'm curious about how they're gonna make Takeda look.
Did you watch The Boys?
No, I haven't watched The Boys because I saw a lot of like the gore parts of it before I had even watched the show. And I was under the impression that it was gore for the sake of gore. And so I hate that kind of stuff. I hate when things don't have a narrative reason. But then now that I'm seeing like there's actually a good story behind it, I'm planning on going back and watching it. But yeah, seeing like people get blown up constantly, and that lady, I think she was like having sex with a guy and blew his head up or something. I was like, what are you telling me to watch here? Like, what is this?
It sounds like something, because like I've been trying like to go through like all these DVDs that I have, because like there were anime series that I bought that I haven't like popped open, and also when I helped my friend move out of his apartment, and he knows like of all the friends he has, the person that's seen the least amount of like notable movies is me. So he pretty much threw like a whole bunch of his freaking DVDs at me, and I've been kind of going through those. But the thing you just mentioned there kind of reminded me actually of something that I had bought. It was like it was, I forgot what they specifically called it when I looked it up, but it's basically like a super slasher type of flick that I learned about at a convention when I went to a panel that was talking about horror anime and horror, like Japanese horror movies or whatnot.
Right.
It's a movie called Tokyo Gore Police, and I've had that DVD sitting there for quite a while. And there was one time I tried to watch it, but I idiotically forgot that I wasn't chilling just to watch a movie. I was chilling because I was tired, so I fell asleep on it. I finally got around to watching it last week, and it's like that looked like what you just described there. That sounds like something that would have been in Tokyo Gore Police. Look, the storyline to it is actually pretty good, but like even with the storyline there, I just kind of wonder. I know some people kind of have this thing where it's like, oh, it's just minimal story, but this freaking gore mess is OTT. Okay, whatever.
Right.
But I asked you about The Boys because I was gonna ask you like, what'd you think of like the voice work on Homelander, since it's not what's his name, Anthony Starr. It's not him, but it's a sound alike.
I like it. I think if you can get people who sound close, I think that's some of the most impressive stuff, and I respect it. They had to do it with Black Adam and Multiversus,
Oh wow.
because they couldn't get The Rock, and he sounds great.
I don't know. Was he too busy like with that last little WWE run?
He was too busy crying because Black Adam failed and the DCU was being canceled.
I think somebody might have alluded to that movie, like when he had like his little run as the final boss in WWE.
Oh, did
I think so. I think so. Either that or someone was questioning why hasn't anybody referenced it or something. I'm not sure.
I mean, there's nothing to reference.
Because credit to him, like he did like help didn't get a whole lot of good TV en route to like this past WrestleMania. But yeah, the sound alike for Anthony Starr, like his name's Chris Cox, and he actually did, and from what I understand, he was handpicked by Arnold to do Terminator in the previous game.
Oh, so he did the Terminator voice too.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, there's some reports that they're saying that Arnold. Let me stop. Sound like freaking Helga mocking. Yeah. Arnold. But yeah, there are some reports saying that Arnold. I did again, whatever. That he handpicked Chris Cox to do it. Like I said, I've heard scenes of Homelander talking, but it's just like every scene, it's like it's something different, which I have heard people say like he's kind of like emotionally all over the place. Like I've heard him be like, do you think you know better than me? And then like I kind of wondered that one time where he was like telling Sub-Zero, take your best shot, Frosty. I'm like, I can't match a scene to that right there.
Yeah.
Like all the different voice lines they had teased from him at first, it's like he's doing something different. Like the one where he's talking to Liu Kang, saying like, you've chosen war with a god. He's all sniffling. No, you have.
Yeah.
Like he is emotionally all over the place. Like, jeez, this Homelander guy. I told my friend, I'm like, I don't know about this Homelander, but he sounds like a piece of work.
Yeah, no, I mean that's definitely his vibe. He's definitely kind of like that unhinged, psychotic swing from one end of the emotional spectrum to the other character. So that's definitely going to work in his favor for him to if Chris can achieve that, and it sounds like he has.
Yeah, I just wish like I gotta ask like my friends that I know that have seen The Boys and see like what they think of the voice work, because this is like one of those times where I'm like, have a I don't really have a grip on what this character is about. So I I can't tell if the impression's on point.
Hmm.
I know what Arnold sounds like. I can't stop. I know what I know what he sounds like, but I mean that wasn't too bad or whatever. But I've seen some other people say that, some people even said that they actually couldn't tell that it wasn't Anthony. So as if he did it good for him. It's just one instance where I'm on the outside looking in. The one reference that I caught was just something that I happened to see by chance, and it was his throw where like he throws and then mugs to the camera, and the person falls about 500 feet out of the sky.
Mm.
Which that's a pretty nice animation.
Yeah,
I know
no.
I know the little thing of him drinking the milk was disturbing to a lot of people.
Oh man, yeah, that was I mean, it's in character.
Okay, so I need to watch that video. Somebody I know out there compiled a video of like all the references or whatever. I need to watch that.
Oh yeah, I'm sure there's
I just thought,
that all over
I just
YouTube.
thought the guy was like, oh man, likes his milk apparently.
No, yeah. There's lore behind this.
Oh, stop. Knowing him, this can't be good.
Yeah,
I can't wait to
no.
see what this character is in the Mortal Kombat universes.
Yeah, I mean, he's one of I think he's one of the best guest characters in terms of like fit for the universe.
Do you think that they went overboard with the amount of guest characters they had in MK1?
I mean, so far, what do we have? We have Homelander, Omni-Man, Peacemaker. So it's 3.
Some people thought 3 off the bat in the first season was just too much.
I can see that, especially when the base roster is missing some of the classics. Why some people might be upset, or missing some people that we haven't seen in a while that other people might have wanted to see. Because, you got fucking Sonya and Jax missing, and they're only cameos.
Who was that you said during like what was the Summer Games Fest or whatever? What was it that you said like when they called out the freaking Jackson?
Oh, I remember saying something, but I don't remember what I said. Oh, it was when he was going back. It was like, oh, they don't want to make him a character. They said, get your black ass back.
So good because like I said, it was by accident, as you told me, that it was pretty much queued up like perfectly when freaking Scorpion threw the spear. Like once you say "Get you," what?
Yeah, immediately. Oh man, that was a crack up. But yeah, the fact that he's not even on the roster at all. Yeah, I think that might upset people for them to just like dive deep in. But also, they're taking way too fucking long to release these characters. If we're being honest, because by this point in Injustice 2, we had seen and known how many characters. I think in the first 9 months, we knew who was going to be in all the fighter packs, and a bunch of them had already been released. We still haven't even finished the first fighter pack. It's taking way too long. People already don't care about MK1. You're not helping yourself by dragging it out. Now we have to wait longer because Homelander still isn't fully released, so we're still waiting for him. And then after that, Takeda, one of the new generation of kids that a lot of people don't care about anyway. Yeah,
Takeda was he was actually a favorite.
he was a favorite for like the people who care about Mortal Kombat. But if you're looking at the casual fans, no the casual doesn't give a shit about Takeda.
Yeah, that casual audience, like, or some of the more... See, it's like casual audiences and, like, the very hardline nostalgics that don't like it when their freaking classic stalwart characters are just displaced or whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
They really... Me, I'm of the opinion where it's like, just have a healthy balance.
Right.
Like, because too many games with the same freaking characters, it's like, and I know I sound like somebody else, but at least you know the context in which I'm talking about the same character. You know what I'm talking about,
right?
As opposed to that person, but it's like, it just gets like, in certain cases, like it'll get boring. Now, to be fair, some franchises have done a good job at like bringing back like classic old school characters, but also giving them something new, making them feel fresh.
Mm-hmm.
Like, cause even though I haven't really played, like, I haven't played this character all that much, but freaking Ryu, like, even Ryu in Street Fighter 6 feels a little bit fresher. Freaking Ken, like, feels a little bit fresher, at least like, and I say those two, and even though I haven't played those two, I'm confident in saying it because like those two are primarily the ones that I've played against online or whatever.
Right.
So it's like I have in many different levels of people playing Ryu, like from the most inexperienced to like the most experienced. So it's like I've got a feel for it. It's like these guys, like, they got something new, you know what I'm saying? New look, some nice, like, mixing a little bit of a classic.
Right.
A little bit of a classic with a little bit of new, and I can appreciate that. It's like, and that's like, not even just like with the character, but like even stuff like with theme music and all this other stuff and everything. I despise the character of Blanca. I've never liked Blanca. I hate that character.
Right.
Annoying to fight against, dumb design and everything. But that freaking theme music slaps. And one of my faithful viewers, actually, he's actually from Brazil, and I didn't know, because compared to like other theme music that like Blanca and like Brazilian characters like Laura have or whatnot, they didn't really sound like traditional Brazilian music. The best thing, or like anything that would be from, not even just traditional, but like anything that would be Brazilian, it was just more like an idea of what would I think Brazilian music sound like? But no, come Blanca in freaking Street Fighter 6, and then even the stage itself, they actually went there because my friend there had told me about what's called favela funk or funk carioca or Brazilian funk, which is basically pretty much their take on like hip hop. It's got like reggae influences, electronic, with little hints of Brazilian music, and it's like MS slaps. It's like I hate Blanca, but that theme song is good, and I know a lot of people are gonna flag me for that because the soundtrack sucks. Like, I've heard worse. Get out of here.
Right.
And it really annoys me how some people are talking about, man, like Street Fighter 5 soundtrack was a masterpiece compared to Street Fighter 6. I'm like, don't sit here and act like you and almost everybody else, not you Vault, but just whoever said this mess.
Right.
Don't sit here and act like you and everybody else wasn't trashing the freaking jury thing from Street Fighter 5. I remember that mess like it was just yesterday. And I mean, like, the song is, it does sound like the dreaded D word. It does sound like a demo more so. Like Jury's theme in Street Fighter 5, it definitely sounds like a demo. It sounds like a demo. It's like this very kind of minimalistic techno with, I guess, somebody trying to take a broom and make it a weapon, I guess, because you hear like the or whatever.
Right.
And then the noise samples, and like there's a screeching part of it, which is kind of like, I guess this was meant to try to be like, hey, this character, this theme is for, she's kind of cuckoo, hey, but like it was, that mess sounds like a demo. It sounds like a demo. That sounds like there were 2 freaking MP3s sent, and somebody freaking sent the demo by accident.
Sent the unfinished one. Like, oh, I was just messing around with that one. I'm like, oh, they put it in the full game? Damn it.
Because, like, really, with Street Fighter 6, far as character themes, the only one that I really didn't like was Guile's. And I know I've talked to several people and friends of mine who was like, of course that mess is bad. They changed it from the vintage. I'm like, no, I am not worshiping and kneeling at the altar of nostalgic nuts, okay? My whole thing is this. You can do, like, with, especially with all the other characters, like, Ryu, Zangief, freaking Ken, like, almost all the other returning characters have decent freaking themes that are very different, because the concept of those theme songs was meant to be, like, what would their theme music sound like if they were, like, on the street? What would it sound like?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And I'm sorry, like, people might like, Guile is not walking down the street with that freaking plucky freaking 90s mess, okay?
Right.
This is a cold dude that has that same freaking stone-faced look on his face.
Yeah, no. I think what was the only theme I like from Street
walking.
Fighter?
He is not walking down the street. No, that's not even his
Yeah,
ringtone.
not that tinny
One of my
music.
viewers, one of my viewers pointed out. One of my viewers pointed out in the video where I did the tier list on those themes. He likes country music, which they did kind of try to throw some country into that because his theme is like it's got like a country music as harmonica to it, but it's
Right.
like that meets light, kind of moody, but industrial techno.
Mm.
And unfortunately, like, the harmonica's doing the same stupid thing throughout the whole entire time. It's just gonna do. I fucking hate it.
No, my favorite theme from Street Fighter V is Rose's theme. I think her theme is fantastic.
That one's good. That one's good. Even though I'm still pretty much a sucker for her Street Fighter 4 one, because that must deceive me at first. Cause like I love how in her Street Fighter 4 theme it just goes. It starts with this freaking guitar riff where it sounds like Danger's coming. It's like, and then it transitions into like, oh my goodness, we are in the presence of somebody very majestic here.
Mm.
And they still find a way to punch that little kind of like, ain't really creeping or whatever, but it's like a ascending, like the little dun, dun. It's so good. Her 5 theme is dope though. In fact, I love her freaking Street Fighter 5 critical art too. It's so good.
Yeah. Well, guess we'll see what happens in the future with these with SNK and KOF and Multiversus.
Fatal Fury City of the Wolves is looking promising. I'm looking forward to how they're gonna really boost that freaking single player experience. Like I said, doesn't have to be modes that I'm into, but like if it's something interesting, I mean, if it's something I'm into and then people get into it, nice. That's how you sell. Like that's another way you can sell some more of your older games that are out there.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But it's looking promising. Like I said, keep it up, man. Keep it up. Keep it up. This right here, because like I said, this right here could definitely be. Because the thing is, this particular game is gonna focus more on Rock, even though Terry is gonna be like, he might be somewhat of a supporting character because Garo, as this was called, even though Garo is basically the whole series, because the Japanese name for Fatal Fury is Garo Densetsu. But like when Garo Mark of the Wolves came out, that was more, even though Terry was there, this was mostly Rock's story, or primarily his story. And not to mention, like, even looking at that game right there, Garo Mark of the Wolves, which a classic that, you definitely should try out. That was one of the better fighting games that actually came with a mostly new roster. But the only returning character was Terry.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, Rock was pretty much new. Gato, you had Kim's sons in there. Like, you had the British kind of weirdo kind of guy who had this punk metal-esque look to him.
Right.
Like, everybody else was new. Because that's one of the riskiest things that you can do is, like, just, okay, we'll bring back our biggest character, but everybody else is going to be new. That takes some balls.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, that's really ballsy.
Because there was a Samurai Showdown called Warrior's Rage that did that. And it's not even like, depending on who you ask. But for the most part, Warrior's Rage is kind of seen as for most people. Because they literally just dove headfirst to their new generation. But I think SNK, like, experiments with, like, different generations and different characters as protagonists more than pretty much any other company. They did it in KOF. Fatal Fury was pretty much the Terry story until Garo, where it was the Rock story. And like I said, you had those 4 different KOF protagonists over those many years. Samurai Showdown, the first 2 Samurai Showdowns, Harumaru was the main person. Then comes Samurai Showdown 3, we got Shizumaru Hisame, which was a little demon boy with an umbrella. He looked almost like a midget Kurama from Yu Yu Hakusho. like if
I just put together what she said.
yeah, either that or like if Kurama was like a little boy and like he had an infatuation with umbrellas. That was Shizamaru. And then Samurai Showdown 4, we got dual protagonists because I'm a brothers, not the ones from Tekken, obviously. But you had Sogetsu and Kazuki. Kazuki was the fire ninja, Sogetsu was the water ninja. And then in 5 was Yoshitora, who I fucking hated fighting against in Street Fighter. Oh, it's a Street Fighter. Please do not put Yoshitora anywhere, nowhere. Please no, do not put Yoshitora anywhere near Street Fighter, please. Sorry, it was a botch. Anybody listening? But I couldn't stand fighting him in freaking Samsho 7, as it's colloquially called. But that was the guy like with the multiple swords and like the weirdest freaking hair ever. Samsho 6 was not canon, but it did have protagonists. One was a guy named Andrew, and the other was Iroha, who was basically just more Coomer bait. Basically, she came from this game where I guess it involved something involving maids and swans. Because basically her big super involves her basically cutting somebody up behind closed doors. But the thing is, before she does it, she strips down. Like I said, Kuma food.
Yeah, definitely.
And then, of course, the last Sam show, we got another protagonist, which is funny because I think we got most of almost everybody as far as like protagonists on the roster. But the new one is the little Tengu guy, Kurama Yashamaru, who's actually pretty cool. So as you see, like all these different protagonist changes, like I don't think anybody really does it like to the ratio that SNK does it. Street Fighter had that, but like if I told you who all like the protagonists of Street Fighter were, like far as the mainline series, a couple of them might make you raise your eyebrow because everybody's just concerned that everybody's pretty much believing that it's just been Ryu.
I mean, that's what every casual thinks.
He was like, obviously Ryu was the guy. He still is. Like, I'm sorry. Like, I know they're really trying to get Luke over, but Luke cannot replace him. He just can't. That's not to say Luke is a bad character. I like what they did with Luke in Street Fighter 6 more so than like what he did with him in Street Fighter 5. But it's Ryu. It's freaking Ryu. Like it's just some people like you just can't.
Yeah, no, and that's the unfortunate thing for Luke. They were pushing him so hard, but he just doesn't have it. He just doesn't have what it takes to be the new main character.
I feel like he could have been a really good like protagonist, but the problem with it is it's just who he's against. And Street Fighter is like the #1 most well-known fighting. Like it's pretty much the #1 fighting game.
Right.
It pretty much is. Or at least if people don't like that, it's amongst the big 3. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's like, but that's Ryu. Like when it like especially with my coming up, since that's mostly what I played when I really got into the genre. Whenever I would play against somebody who would always be nervous about playing like a new fighting game, the first thing they would always ask me, who's the Ryu of the game? Who's the Ryu? Who's the Ryu? Who's simple? Who's the Ryu?
Yeah.
Like, you can't replace that. That right there. Like people might say they got tired of him and he's doing the same freaking things and he's still like, oh, I gotta get stronger and all that, even though they kind of actually pushed him a little bit forward in Street Fighter 6.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like you can't. I don't even care who it is. It could be the most popular character amongst the fan base. Nobody's replacing him. You just can't do it.
Right.
Because, like I said, the funny thing is when Street Fighter 3 came around, they tried to make Alex the protagonist, the American blonde wrestler dude. Mm-hmm. Which that right there was bold.
Yeah.
Because at least for me, when you have like a fighting game protagonist, at least for me, like I know some series have kind of broken this up a little bit, but I would think that character would have to be pretty much your default entry point character. I would imagine that character has to be the most accessible and the most easiest like one, far as like a new face is, especially if you're putting them like on the packaging of it.
Yeah. No, Alex wasn't gonna do that. No, not at all.
He's a grappler, and like grapplers are a lot more difficult to play than a character like Ryu, who has a fireball and a move that advances him forward. Mm-hmm. Pretty gnarly reversal, you know what I'm saying, with the Shoryuken.
Right.
Then comes Street Fighter 4. Try and guess who the protagonist of that. Guess who they tried that time.
Oh,
I'll
hold
give you a
on.
hint. I'll give you a hint. It was another big blonde guy.
Was it Nash?
No, no, it wasn't Nash.
Who was the protagonist? Is it a big blonde? Oh, was it? Wait,
I have a feeling once I tell you who it is, or unless you guess it, you can be like, "Who was that?"
hold on. Who was in Street Fighter? Big blonde guys.
Street Fighter 4.
Street Fighter 4. Oh, I'm thinking of Street Fighter 5. Oh, Street Fighter 4. No, then I have no clue.
It was Abel.
Abel was the main character?
Yep, he was meant to be the protagonist.
Mm.
And once again, like, and he was kind of interesting because it's like, as far as like playstyle, given what I said there about how I feel a protagonist should basically, how they should be in terms of playstyle, it's almost like they were like, okay, you know, we tried a grappler last time and he was too difficult, so let's make a pseudo grappler that could actually be good for like beginners, because he basically had like this Rekka that would lead into like one particular finish would basically end in a grab, like stuff like that. But then on top of that is like, and I give them credit for them trying to like make a kind of a dark and like an angsty but yet sympathetic type of hero, because that's
Right.
basically what Abel was, since he was like, you know, a clone and he didn't know where he came from. He's trying to figure out, you know, the truth behind his life and all that.
Yeah.
But I'm just like, this is the guy, really? Because like, you ever seen something that's like, you know, really, you gonna try to sell me this? But Street Fighter 5, it was Rashid,
Yes.
who actually, honestly, a lot of people kind of liked, honestly. I don't know if it was like just about his gameplay or his design, or if it was just about the theme song, because Rashido, that's still, I know so many people are happy that they put that jukebox thing in the game now.
Oh yeah. I think people liked a lot of people did like Rashid. Rashid, you know, he's a charismatic and interesting character. I just think they're just never ever going to beat the beat the Ryu allegations. They're never going to ever have anyone believe that Ryu is not the main guy.
There was an old video that like I had back when I was doing like a whole bunch of top like 10, top 20 list or whatever. And I mean, the script is still out there, so it's in a vault somewhere in one of wordplay in a vault. It's in a vault somewhere, like, because I know I have like a hard drive where I save all the scripts and everything. But I know I made a video talk about like the top 10 coolest Ryu clones, and it's just so interesting. And like I'm not even talking about Ryu clones in terms of just like who has a quarter circle forward fireball and a Shoryuken and a Tatsu or anything that's similar to it. I'm talking about people that, like, characters that may have that moveset, may have most of that moveset, but also when you visually just look at them, it's just like, yeah.
Yeah.
They were trying to send the message, Ryu.
Yeah.
Like, but I don't know, like, when you have a character like that's just that impactful and influential, it's just like you're not gonna be able to replace Chun-Li. You can't. You just can't.
No, like they would have to go all in on replacing the character's form and function with a different character, and just not including the character in the game wholesale. Because as long as they're in the game, people are going to perceive them as the main characters. But if you put another Shoto in the game and just don't have Ryu in the game, then you can kind of get away with it, because people will be upset, but then they'll kind of come to understand, like, oh, well, this isn't the main character. But they'll never be able to do that. You'll never be able to have a Street Fighter without Ryu. You'll never be able to have a Mortal Kombat without Scorpion. You'll never be able to have a Tekken without Jin.
I think they tried to like have a Street Fighter without Ryu, and people were like, no.
Yeah, absolutely not. Like, where is he?
Come on now, like, come on.
Stop playing around. Bring him back.
It ain't Street Fighter if I don't see the guy with the freaking headband and the gi and all that, you know.
Yeah.
Which again, I give them credit because they kind of like, you know, pushed him a little bit forward in Street Fighter 6. And like with Luke, see, the thing is, I give them credit for really trying with him
Hmm.
because they brought him out early. They brought him out in Street Fighter 5, and they literally pointed to him saying, "Yeah, this kid right here is going to be the future of Street Fighter going forward."
Yeah.
And lo and behold, the next game, he is still the guy. And I also like the fact that they even had him like have links with like other prominent like Street Fighter characters. Like he's about to pretty much duel with Ryu in like the very first Street Fighter 6 trailer that we saw.
Yeah.
And on top of that, he has links with Guile. So, but I just think it's an understatement. But he has a tough act to follow, man. He has
Yeah.
a tough
He,
act to
he is a
follow.
very tough act to follow, and that's just the nature of the beast.
I still
Um,
stand by it. He can't do it. None of them can. Like nobody can't. You can't beat the like. What is it you said? You can't beat the Ryu allegations. No.
yeah.
But yeah, like I said, back like Fatal Fury, City of the Wolves. Like I said, what they're doing is good so far. The only thing I really want at this point, before the month, not the month so much, but before the year is through, I don't care if it's a demo. I don't care if it's a beta.
Oh, for City
Public,
of the Wolves.
yeah, yeah. The public has got to get their hands on them. The public, the regular normie public.
Yeah.
You know what you're talking about. Not the freaking no hate on them at all because hey, props to you. Shoot, anybody would love to be in that position where they get invited or they're able to go to these tournaments and freaking play the setups that they bring there and everything because
Right.
there was one of people Japan and all that, but like before the year is through, there's got to be beta demo for the general public. You got to.
Yeah. 1,000%. There has to be because that's how you build interest. I've just played the Marvel Rivals closed alpha, and now they have Marvel Rivals closed beta coming out in July. And a lot of the normie audience has been, harping on about the game. Like, oh yeah, can't wait for it to come back. Can't wait to see more. Can't wait. And that's how you build that love for the franchise. You build love for the game before your full release. You entice these people. You get the conversation going, and then you always make your full release better than anything else they touched before then. Yeah,
Yeah.
you'll definitely get a lot more fans.
Yeah, it'll be making all the noise. Like players will be making all the noise, and so will all the content creators of many different walks and all that. 'Cause like I said, this right here could definitely be, if you want to look at it just as Terry and Rock, if you want to look at it as SNK, this could be their coming out party right here. This
Yeah,
could be it. I'm just saying, because I mean, hey, a tiny bit of me was not expecting them to drop like a trailer for King of Fighters 15 during the Game Awards like some years ago. 2021, I think in particular. I was not expecting that.
right.
Because that was actually like the first time like I watched a watch along with you there. Because I remember I was watching that watch along and they dropped that freaking trailer and I had to stop and record right quick. And that was a good move by them because the character they revealed, the reason why everybody was going so nuts was because Cronin, the character that they revealed,
Mhm.
was part of some stunt, which I made a video about. I still say it's a stunt. Because originally the character went by the name K49 and was blatantly designed and modeled after the Tetsuo Shima character from Akira.
Mm.
Big thing with don't like literally almost like you look at him, it's straight up pretty much just Akira. The only thing they did was is basically freaking Tetsuo. All they basically did was just recolor him and make K49. That's
Right.
all they basically did. For years, they were saying that that character was never coming back because of a copyright issue.
Mm.
It was so funny because despite them claiming like, because KOF 2000 and it was either 2002 or 2003. It was probably 3 because in 3 he made a background cameo. And at that time, or at least around that time, that was one of the periods where they had said that he was like that was the last time you're gonna see him because copyright or whatever. that was even backed up by the fact when they re-released KOF 2002 and made KOF 2002 UM, all the characters from what they called the Eolith days, when a Korean company basically was co-producing the games, all those characters that debuted during that time came back except for the K49 character. Instead, they replaced him with a character that pretty much had a similar moveset to him. They just kind of gave him something of like a dark, kind of gothy design, and they called the character Nameless.
Okay.
Now think about it. This character was supposed to be the replacement for K49. Little did most people not know at the time, there was this mobile game over in Japan called KOF Cross Fatal Fury or KOF Cross Garo Densetsu. And it's basically one of those card games. Like, you basically combine cards and it basically levels them up.
Okay.
Or you get a rare item and it levels up the card. And all the cards are basically a variety of different SNK characters. If this whole K49 thing was a legitimate copyright issue, tell me why is it that there's a K49 card in this game and a Nameless card in the game? Why is it that... Because Nameless was supposed to be his replacement. Remember, this character was supposed to replace him. If there was a legitimate copyright issue, why in the world do you have K49 and his replacement in the same game?
Yeah, no, that doesn't add up.
Exactly. And then on top of that, there were a couple other games where they were using K49's likeness. It was either stuff that the average person, at least in the States, would not see, or abroad or whatnot, because that KOF Cross Fatal Fury game, that was a Japan exclusive game. That was Japan exclusive. To this day, I keep thinking that they were just banking on the fact that we in the States and we in this hemisphere were never going to get that mess. So, hey, they won't know the contradiction is there.
It's just banking on people never knowing.
But then there was like a Gamescom where this one fighting game, he was doing like an interview for his blog, but he's also a prominent like champion fighting game player, Ryan Hart. He actually asked about that character, K49, at Gamescom, and then, because see, SNK for the longest time, there was allegedly this rule where it's like, you don't even say his name at the headquarters. Like, do not say K49's name anywhere. But then, at this interview, what did the SNK rep say? He was like, you know what? Maybe one day we'll find out what happened with K49. And sure enough, they brought out like a redesigned version of him for the Game Awards. And I say that was smart because you had people like me and others that were making a whole bunch of noise. Like people, somebody definitely was looking like, yeah, what are those guys so hype about this character for? Like, what's going on here? You know, the whole thing was like, hey, what are they doing over there? Let me explain to you, for the longest of time, we thought this character was never coming back.
Right.
Like I said, that was smart on their part right there. And then apparently, like, I think like it was just smart. That was smart, because that was obviously going to make us make noise, and people were going to be wondering why we were making noise. So good on them. I was not expecting a freaking SNK reveal at a freaking Game Awards. If any big event they were going to reveal anything at, it would be something in Japan. Evo Japan, Tokyo Game Show. But they're trying to expand, because I know SNK's name was on like that. It was like a billboard or like a freaking. It was like a list of companies, and they had the game, like a Summer Game Fest, something like that. SNK was on there, so they're trying to venture out. That might be where we get the next City of the Wolves reveal, but like I said, hey, y'all keep it going.
I guess we'll see.
Let me ask you about like Multiverse, because I kept talking about like misinformation, and I kept meaning to ask you this, but like, I guess we've been enjoying. I guess we've been having a good time with the conversation overall.
Yeah.
The amount of time it takes to unlock characters, because some people are saying that it is a brutal grind. Others have been saying that they've been doing like, what do they call them? Like, it was something special.
The daily challenges or the rifts mode?
Rifts, there we go, the rifts, yeah. People said they were doing rifts and it was actually pretty easy for them to do. Because, of course, this is another point of contention that is basically brought against Multiversus as to why it shouldn't have beat KOF.
Hmm.
15 back in 2022. But once again, this pretty, like I said, almost every time Multiversus seemingly messes up with something, in comes somebody. This is what KOF15 lost to. But yeah, like how true, like, is it true that it's hard to unlock like the characters now, or is this an exaggeration?
It's definitely an exaggeration. It's definitely not incredibly difficult to unlock characters. You just play through rifts, you play through, and you do your challenges, and you'll unlock characters in a short amount of time. It won't take you very long to unlock characters. Now, what I will say that is definitely a flaw, and they need to revert back to the beta. In the beta, you could play any character in the training mode, even characters you didn't
Okay.
unlock yet,
Yeah.
and you can't do that anymore. Now that's problematic because what if I don't fucking like the character when I pay for them? You can't get a
I'm a
refund.
Yep. I am a huge advocate of try before you buy if you can.
Yeah, so that's the only thing, but that's not what people are complaining about. People are saying it takes long. It doesn't take very long.
And I'm also thinking like that right there should be this. Some people might not like this, but I think, and I do. I guess I do get like why some people oppose this, but I still stand by it. I think that having every character unlock in training mode, I think should be the standard.
Yeah, absolutely. Every character because the worst part was it was like that. So why change it?
I think that should be the standard for like pretty much all fighting games, but I can also see why I guess that's not the case because I guess there might be workarounds for that. Like, imagine like if everybody pretty much did what Multiversus was doing, where it's like every character was available in training mode.
Hmm.
Now imagine like, with other fighting games, you can pretty much be in there training and sparring with a friend. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And I'm pretty sure, I guess, like in that particular scenario, it's like, well, if we make the characters like all available in training mode, then people are just gonna pick that character and just basically have pseudo versus matches in training mode. Which,
Um.
I get that.
Yeah. I
I
mean,
guess so.
I guess you can do that, but if that's I mean, if that's your your worry, then I think you have bigger things to worry about. If people don't get are so content with playing your game in training mode, I think you have bigger issues to worry about
Yeah.
than them doing that and not paying for the character. But
I mean,
yeah,
like you can't take them online. You can't compete with them.
yeah,
You can't level up with them, like far as like ranking or anything like that.
yeah. You can't get more bonus perks or anything. You just doing 1v1s in training mode. You got some. You're a patient individual to do that.
Yeah. Whew, man, the wubbulous world of fighting games and
Yeah,
games.
always something with fighting games.
And it's like, yeah, because I know like you watched my recent video where I was going over the characters in Blazing Strike, and that game has been in such a start and stop loop. I just feel like I hope like I'm just hoping it comes out at this point because the constant start and stop is kind of scaring me. I
Um,
learned I learned from somebody who I guess might be in like a Discord with the game, which I need to get into. Because the thing is, I remember this because this is when I was prepping for vacation. They had like one of the publishers had like a little miniature trailer talking about Blazing Strike, and the announcer even confirmed, which aged kind of badly, because they were saying like it was still the month of May, and they were saying that it was going to come out May 2024. A couple days after that post was out there, it vanished.
mm,
Somebody told me, and I'm not sure how true this is, but they were saying that there might have been like a certification or a licensing issue with PlayStation 5s, I want to say, which I know something like that can pretty much stop a game in its tracks, but like I said, I don't know how true that is. That was
right.
just something somebody commented on that video, so that's still hearsay. Nothing against them, but it's still hearsay. And I couldn't find anything to that effect, which makes me think that this might be somebody in the Discord, because I know another creator that's been talking about that game, who's also concerned about the status of it. I think he was also in the Discord, because I think he talked directly to the devs, or at least one of them. But that start and stop has been hurting that mess badly, because we've known about this mess for a while now.
Right.
Most folks probably forgot about it because of just how long it's been. Which, again, that is not a good thing to do. Like, people want to talk about competition in this. You don't sit there and say, hey, we got this product coming. And then it's like, time passes. And within like a year, all you basically thrown us is the crumbs.
Yeah.
If somebody else is out there serving us like a full course breakfast or whatever, they're going to go over there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, it's. I feel like who else has done this? Star Citizen has done that as well. There are a couple games where they are just teasing things over and over and over again, and just not releasing anything. And eventually, people just get tired of it. You know, they just get tired of it, and they just stop looking forward to it. And even when you finally do release, it's like, I don't care anymore. I'm not I'm not that interested in it anymore, and that's the unfortunate reality of it.
Yeah, and like I get like they're an indie, like more on the indie like side of things, but again, I'm guessing that's just the nature of like the beast at this point, because it's got to be grating. It's got to be grating, and especially somewhat kind of nerve-wracking. Probably not to most of them. They just probably just do their thing and just, hey, whatever goes, goes.
Mm-hmm.
But it's got to be something else when you got like the big three that are going right now. More so like, it's more so like a Street Fighter 6 and a Tekken 8 thing.
Mm-hmm.
And like you're an indie company, and it's like, phew, man. But I feel like in most cases, it's like, we're still going to push our product, regardless and everything. I mean, when you're an indie company, I think like you just kind of want to put it out there. And I mean, hey, a lot of indie developers, I think, are happy to at least have something of a seat at the table nowadays, because of like the internet blurring the lines between what's mainstream and what's underground and so on and so forth.
Right.
Because like back in the day, the good old days, Skullgirls like wouldn't have been possible then. Or it wouldn't have been the breakthrough game that it's been for like fighting games. Because I really don't think we get all these interesting indie fighters, which shout outs to the Indie Fighting Games Twitter account. Because I've learned about some stuff on there that I had never heard of before, and a lot of that stuff looks good. A lot of it looks good. But it's like, I don't think a lot of these games are possible without Skullgirls being the breakthrough game that it is. I remember when Watch Mojo did like their little freaking top 20 fighting games of all time. People were wondering why Skullgirl, like some folks were like, why Skullgirl so high? I'm like, it broke down barriers.
Right.
Like far as like in like all these freaking little interesting indie games that have followed afterwards, whether it's Blaze and Strike, whether it's Them's Fighting Herds, whether it's freaking this one game I heard about at Evo where it's like it's literally the roster's full of drag queens or something like that. All of this stuff right here is not possible if freaking Skullgirls didn't just bust through that wall.
Right, yeah.
And they did it because, Skullgirls had a whole bunch of stuff that it seemed like all the mainframe fighting games were kind of like forsaking. People love Marvel vs. Capcom 2. They love Marvel 2. But we hadn't seen any 3v3 fighting games like that, at least around the time in a while. But then look who came along. Skullgirls came along and kind of brought back that element or whatnot. And even adding a bit of extra to it because, it's just something so crazy about being able to use any attack in your character's arsenal as an assist. Hella creativity.
Right.
So it's like it had that. A lot of the games around that time were going like, or at least like around that time, I know Street Fighter was freaking basically embracing more of like a 3D or 2.5D. Everything around that time was like 3D or 2.5D. But then here comes freaking Skullgirls with a 2D design. One of which, beforehand, never seen this guy before. Like, it was so unique. So like once it came out and like made that impression, despite all the mess that it's been through, at least in my personal opinion, somebody might agree. I don't think we have all these interesting indie fighters without Skullgirls.
You think so? Well, I can see that. I think it takes the right indie game to come out to kind of pivot people in and looking at certain things. I think Hades did that for a lot of games as well. So yeah, I can see that.
And not to mention, of course, it was fan servicey, so there was that too. So you know who was all over that shit.
Yeah, Gooners were going all over this.
I mean, like, it did attract like two distinct different types of players or whatnot, because a lot of those people that were mad at the censorship were talking about they played the game because of the boob and the fool, and well, that's the wrong expression. Not the boob and the fool, just the boobs apparently. But like, yeah, and it's so messed up because I've seen some of these games like get nominations and stuff, but it's like being like an indie fighter in Europe, because look at like last year's. We had Street Fighter 6, which won, and well deserved honestly, but then you had God of Rock, you had MK1, which I know you were like, nah, I was the same way. MK1 fell on its ass hard, and at least around that time. Nick All-Star Brawl 2, and then Pocket Bravery. Pocket Bravery is an indie fighting game, and it is actually pretty good. They have something special there. The way they present their freaking story mode, I like that. It's telling me the story of the Pocket Bravery universe. It's not just the by-the-numbers freaking arcade stuff.
Right.
But unfortunately, the big dog Street Fighter 6 was there, and it's like... And even God of Rock was very creative. God of Rock was like a fighting game, but everything is based around the stuff that you would basically see in musical rhythm games. Very creative, because I'm like, how in the world are the different archetypes coming into play here when it's all about rhythm stuff, like rhythm games and everything? But when I saw how it was executed, I'm like, this is very, very good. But again, God of Rock, Nick All-Star Brawl, Pocket Bravery, they didn't stand a chance.
Yeah.
They didn't stand a chance like with the two big dogs there, and like maybe because the one big dog was wounded with Mortal Kombat 1, but you know, Street Fighter 6 came with it, and like Street Fighter 6, it would, and like for the first time, I feel like it wasn't just name recognition with that game.
No, yeah, not at all. It was a lot of the effort they put in.
They stepped outside their freaking comfort zone. Like, they just stepped, like, pretty much what you said. Let's leave it at that.
Absolutely.
I can't wait to see what's going to, because, well, let's see, what all would be. I guess we're about to close in a little bit here, because we covered some ground.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
First, it was just about this whole freaking Multiversus, freaking King of Fighters 15 Twitter war crap or whatever, but it went over here, over there, around the square. But yeah, what would be in the 2024? What would be in this year's? Because obviously Tekken 8. Do you really think that Multiversus is gonna get another nominee?
No, not at all. I'd be baffled if they got another nominee. It's because they don't have the numbers. I don't even think that many. You know what? It may be like small shit that I just don't know about.
Let's see. Tekken 8 came out this. Tekken 8 even got like a freaking award, not award, but a nomination last year, because I know it was in the anticipated game category, which is a pretty interesting award.
Oh yeah, most anticipated. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. When they just start throwing shit at the wall because they need to give somebody an award.
Is there any?
Oh, Project L, is that supposed to come this year? That one?
Which it's funny you call it that, and I kind of wish they would have kept it at that, because.
Hey, then they changed the name to, I don't know, chicken fried rice, something dumb. I know it was stupid, so I stopped paying attention.
It reminded me of the scene from the Invaders Zim movie. Peace is nice. Chicken and rice. Oh god. They call it double KO, but like it's spelled funny.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Two,
That
because it's
dumb shit.
2x KO, which, eh?
Yeah,
Apparently that's gonna come out next year as well. So that's gonna be running alongside Fatal Fury City of the Wolves. Spooky. Cause that right there has some crazy promise. Because once again, we're trying out this free-to-play model in the fighting game genre, and now that I mention that, given that's basically what Multiversus is, like it's free-to-play, right?
yeah, Multiversus is free to play.
Fighting game fans seem to be tweaking a little bit at the format.
Yeah, and I think it's a worthwhile format for these games specifically. I think for Multiverses it makes sense. I think for King of Fighters it makes sense when you don't have that pre-existing brand recognition. Street Fighter 6 can come out and say, "Hey, give me $70," and they were going to get the $70. Same thing with Tekken 8. That new King of Fighters, it's very smart to put it free to play because the thing about free to play games is the commitment is nothing. You could just have it downloaded and then like boot it up, here and there when you want to, and maybe spend a little bit of money on it. Yeah, so I think it's definitely a super smart thing for them to do, and I think it will absolutely help build their casual audience.
I'm guessing they might nominate Under Night and Birth too. Which I have and it's good, but I don't know how much ground or how much of a chance an anime fighter has with like the audience that the Game Awards kind of like is pretty much, leaning towards.
Mm-hmm.
I know that came out.
It's because all these anime games look the exact same.
There is one character in Under Night that I think you might find annoying, honestly, and it's just because of the goddamn voice.
Mm.
I'm just trying to think, like, is there any characters in Under Night where you're like, these fucking kids?
Yeah, nothing comes to mind. But yeah, I think yeah, I'm not seeing a whole lot of releases this year. So there's just not very many game releases this year for fighting game. Now, if they put in bullshit,
that might happen. But also, what you?
I think
the freaking Multiversus is coming up.
Yeah, they're gonna put in Multiversus again. But then T8's gonna win, so we won't have to deal with that outrage online.
Yeah, I don't like. That mess is gonna be just a boogeyman for people at this point, honestly.
Yeah, Multiverse.
There's this. I can't think of like. I just can't think of. I mean, I know it was like a fake quote, but like at the same time, it's like. I don't know. One of those things where it's like Jeff and them aren't that crazy to where they will really pull that with it.
No, I don't think so.
Well, at least if you're gonna do that, like unlike most other fighting game re-releases that have gotten like nominations, at least I'm about to make a case for it. But
don't do that.
I'm accidentally about to make a case for why Multiversus should get a nomination. Because I was gonna say like all those re-releases actually brought something significantly different, and I'm like, make the argument for that shit. Oh man.
Yeah, no. Oh wait, hold on. Did Yakuza Like a Dragon come out this year?
Creepy would know because Creepy loves Yakuza. The only thing I like about Yakuza is only because Spotify was really going crazy on me one day. I like the Yakuza soundtrack. I like the music that I like the songs I ran into by chance. Like I like those. I wouldn't mind picking it up,
Yeah, if that game came out this year, they might put that in the fighting game category to make up numbers.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think we're gonna get like another wild Sifu like pick this shit.
Yeah, because we're not seeing too many releases, so we're definitely gonna get some bullshit.
just funny because like I know that there was probably something interesting on the indie circuit that could have been there in place of Seafood. Like if somebody wouldn't accept my freaking whole Rumbleverse fanboying, okay, but I'm
Right.
pretty sure there's something out there on the indie circuit that could have been there to the Seafood.
Oh, 1,000%. It's gonna I'm positive there's like some indie fighting game that came out. So yeah, I'll be on the lookout for that.
And hell, honestly, man, well, this might be wishful thinking on my part, but I was thinking like just the fact that something on that particular level, even though I know there's like an indie game category for the Game Awards,
Hmm.
it's like games like, those right there, it's like, the indie fighting games, just them getting some nominations or whatever, that might be a little bit of some publicity that they can get, win or lose.
Yeah, absolutely. It'll get people talking about it for sure. People look into
You're
it.
gonna, yeah, like you're gonna have the person there wondering, oh, what's that? What's that? What's that? What's that? And you never know. Sometimes when you're wondering what's that,
Yeah.
you stumble into something that you like. It's
Yeah.
happened to me before.
Oh yeah, 1,000%. I've definitely. That's how I got into Baldur's Gate 3, and that became one of my top 5 greatest games of all time. Of seeing it win game of the all those awards, and I was like, man, how the hell did this thing win? What is this? And I played it, and I'm like, oh, this thing is fantastic.
Yeah, that mess cleared last year.
Oh yeah. Yes, sir. We will see what comes of it.
Yeah, we covered some ground here, yo.
Yeah, but thank you guys. Thank you so much for tuning in to this podcast episode. We might need to do more of these, or just have it be like an ongoing thing. That may be fun to do.
I'm definitely down. I'm definitely down for you, like, educating me about, like, all the other stuff that I don't play. Everything that's not a fighting game or a visual novel.
Yeah, absolutely. We're going into all the other brain rot and all the other genres.
Hey, I'm open to stuff, I'm open to it all,
Absolutely. But thank you guys.
Not to mention I can hang around and, like, hear you roast on some other stuff.
Oh yeah. You was telling me I'm such a hater for all the things that I roast stuff, and I'm like, man, there's just so much stuff to hate.
At least for you, like, unlike the typical online, I guess, like, online hater, you know what I mean about online.
Right.
At least, like, with you, it's funny, you know what I'm saying? I've grown past the point where it's just somebody freaking screaming their heart out at something like, I mean, I get it, okay, something might be garbage or whatever. I can understand, for instance, Superman 64, I can understand why somebody hates that or whatever, but
Yeah.
I wouldn't direct vitriol at it to the same degrees. Like, I'm just saying, some of these ragers and everything, they be like, they make it seem like Superman 64 somehow freaking robbed them of everything they had in their life.
Killed their family.
Like, killed their family, and just the mere fact they popped in that freaking cartridge and freaking cut that mess on, then boop went mom, boop went dad, boop went sister, boop went brother, and
Right.
all of a sudden, everything in the house around them just. That mess was so bad, the whole house collapsed. Oh my god! But you and some other people, y'all make the mess funny.
Appreciate it, man.
Like even if it's something I like, I'm like, ah.
Yeah, that's when you can appreciate. Like, I think there's a couple of YouTubers who like can poke fun at something you like, and be like, ah, man, I like that, but that was funny. Like, I agree.
Alrighty then.
All right. Well, yeah. Thank you guys again for tuning in to this first episode. More to come, and you know how we do. Behave yourself. For tuning in to this first episode. More to come, and you know how we do. Behave yourself.